1 month removed from the Birmingham Major, and we are back. Yummy Cheese Man, Queen Morgie, and myself. And you're already laughing. I already did something wrong in your eyes.
For those at home, as soon as we're about to go live, I said, I hope this is a brilliant intro. And then your voice just broke a little bit, and it broke me at the same time.
The smallest of cracks. I see how it is. Look, it's been a long time, okay? We didn't get to go overseas. I'd like to pretend Birmingham didn't exist. Luminosity, I blame you. But yeah, we're back. We're here, and hopefully for a good new split.
Hey, look, it can't get any worse from here, folks. This is the beginning of OCE. We can pretend it didn't exist before this. And Raleigh Major coming up. 3 events to qualify for that. And 3 events, Morgie, before OCE come first and second.
Oh, absolutely. No, keen for Raleigh. Looking very much forward to it. We've got a clean sheet. We're in the first open of this upcoming major. So, anything can happen. Obviously, we've got some strong teams in the mix. We've got some strong challenges as well. But with that clean sheet, I think there's a lot of opportunity now.
I mean, we have a lot of, I think, exciting teams to look out for because, as per usual, we take more than 2 or 3 weeks off, and all of the rosters just seem to change up, except for maybe the top 3 from last time. However, a couple new exciting lineups, Yummy, I feel, coming into this one, a big one being Power.
Of course, yeah, Power. Not the same Power. They've just taken it across with Gus and, of course, brought out our fantastic team of Luna and Caleb. There we go. Totally getting rid of Laxon. As we all know, Morgie, Laxon was the anchor of that team, a complete burden, never did anything to get them a regional win, so must have been a good decision.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting decision. There've been a few swaps there. I mean, obviously, Laxon has then been picked up by I'm Fine in the West, kind of joining that old Kip Gang roster instead of Gus now. So, he's still in the mix. He's still around. He's still going to be playing tonight. So we will be seeing more of Laxon, and maybe he can change your mind a little bit, Yummy.
Well, chat, I want to hear a little bit from you guys. 1, if that was a good decision to drop after you win your first ever regional, or 2, if you think Power are insane. But as you said, there's some other roster changes that have gone on, a lot more in the lower teams.
Yeah,
of course. Somewhat like Pagsy and Finn picking up negative instead of having Baz. They were a team in now Sarani who I thought could have done a lot better in the last split, so understandable why they made that change.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. Again, that bubble scene's always kind of a little bit chaotic, but at that same token, I think the one team that has kind of found ways to maybe figure things out is the one team that has kind of snuck through almost in that top 4 with its Missy's team, the Petty Pups coming through. Prime's Petty Pups, Bal, Misty, Keckles. I'm excited to see, Bal actually, in a position to get into that top 4.
Say the name again.
Bal.
No,
he
the team.
Ball, doesn't he? Oh, Prime Petty's Pups.
I just think it's a ridiculous name, but you have the Prime Petty's Pups and you have Wolves Gaming. Who's the bigger dog in that fight?
I just thought we were finally out of the Wolf teams. I thought we were so close to being free of them, and then Wolves Gaming showed up, new team this split, and brought us right back.
Now, the interesting thing here, Formal, you were saying that there's 5 absolute god tier teams here in OCE this split, but TSM down in the lower bracket. What's going on down there?
TSM, well, it was interesting because I actually blame I'm Fine in the West, and I blame Laxon for that. Laxon, being the wildcard killer, took wildcard out in Swiss, puts the situation where we get TSM versus wildcard for one of them to go to the lower bracket. And yeah, TSM came up on the lower end of that, which has been, again, another situation of this TSM team. I feel they want to be that top 2 team, but they keep running into wildcard at awkward times, Morgie.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, on paper, obviously TSM, they are one of the strongest teams in the region here, but they haven't had the easiest run, obviously getting knocked down here today from that loss yesterday, that 2-3 loss to wildcard. So, it's a tricky one. You can't really blame them for that loss. It was a tricky series. It could have gone either way. But now that they've fallen down into the lower, it's made it a little bit harder for some of these, I guess I want to say bubble teams, or some of the kind of lower end of that top 8 at the moment, and kind of their run getting through into the quarters and the semis, and obviously trying to make a run at the grand final.
Yeah, going to game 5 for TSM against Wildcard is obviously really good signs early on the split, especially with roster changes happening left, right, and center. They should be one of the teams in prime contention, at least early on in this split, since they haven't made the change.
I still kind of think there's more of an argument can be made, though, that like I'm fine in the West losing to Fishing for Wins was maybe the bigger upset, though, when you look at the games yesterday, because that's another team that at least I'm pegging as one of the 5 elite teams in this one, Yummy, and they dropped an awkward series before, an awkward game 5 as well. So seeing 2 of the possible favorites starting from the lower bracket as opposed to the normal 1, I think does lead for a very interesting next couple days.
For sure. I did want to ask, though, does everybody have Wildcard going back to the major?
Yeah,
major, yes. Major, yes.
Okay, then who's everyone's second team?
I already know why you're bringing this up. I'm going Chiefs as well.
Ooh.
It's tricky.
As well?
It's tricky.
We each want to run it back. we each want to run it back. We like the Chiefs here. Chiefs look to be, I think, that team right now, Yummy. But where are you thinking? All right.
Look, there's only one team that actually won a regional last split, whose name weren't Wildcard. It was Scrimsworld, now Power. And they've been improved. Again, they got rid of the deadweight Laxon. Of course, Power are going to be making it. Come on.
You need Laxon to beat Wildcard. That's already been
Why?
proven in the Swiss.
So he can win a game 7. Oh my goodness. Well, if Laxon's that good, he will prove it, as you said. Fine in the West. You got them coming 5th, 3rd, 4th, if you've got Chiefs coming 2nd.
I have Chiefs coming 1st. I'm feeling crazy.
I
think, I kind of do this split. Again, this might be recency bias, very recency bias of the past couple weeks, but from what I've seen from them so far, they look improved on that defensive side. I think they're going to bounce back mentally from the awkward performance in Birmingham, and we always were kind of pegging this team as they're going to be the one to click together to get that international success. I'm still, drinking that hopium and thinking, all right, this is a split where they prove it. They still owe me a regional win.
Okay, fair call.
We thought at the end of last split that Chiefs would get that regional win. I'm a little surprised given how, not surprised, but given how the major went for them. I thought that there was a good chance that there would be a roster change, but obviously they are very comfortable and confident in where they stand. And we did see moments of brilliance from Chiefs, especially as the split went on. So it's not a bad pick, of course. TSM would also be a very, very good pick for being that second team, but I'm just being a bit contrarian. So
I think you should back Power. I mean, it looked like a majority of the international audience seems to be backing Power as well. I think it was one of those esports articles, they had 4 out of 6 of the staff saying Power was going to be representing OCE at the next major. And look, I got to get one little dig in. I still think it's crazy that 4 out of 6 experts are picking Lunar to go to a major. Like, that to me seems...
My boy, insulting my boy again. What's going on? Why do you hate Luna so much, man?
I love Luna. You hate on those you love the most, Yummy.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I have been calling him top 100 mechanic player in OCE for quite a long time. It would be a surprise, and it was a surprise last split when they did get that win, that regional win. Unfortunately, they haven't had that consistency. That's going to be their big gap.
Yeah, definitely something they need to work on. But having those kind of moments of brilliance where they can shine like that was really cool. And I think the entire OCE community was backing that Scrimsworld roster last split, and I think that there will be a lot of that again this split, obviously with Gus in the mix now. Gus has got quite the fan base himself, so I wouldn't be surprised if we've got a massive cheer squad in the audience tonight.
I mean, I always love the Gus Caleb connection is a classic. It's a throwback to old Gremlins days, and I'm always going to be here for that. We should be getting close to this next matchup though, guys, and I want to actually bring us to our first game of the day. Of course, it is going to be the Westies taking on Jim. which is a interesting team to see him come through. Jim as well running a sub, Morgie. How do you think that's going to affect their chances?
I mean, look, I'm going to be brutally honest. I didn't think they stood too much of a chance against I'm Fine in the West to begin with, throwing a sub into the mix as well. Obviously, the sub I'm not too familiar with, so I can't really comment on skill or gameplay there, but having a sub in the mix regardless always throws a wrench in the works.
Formal has, of course, had the disadvantage of being in the host seat. They're not actually bringing a sub, so all 3 players of the core roster for Jim are in the game. And, that means that Inspire, who was originally unsure, is going to be here and playing.
Well, I think that's good. I think Inspire actually has been an exciting player watching, been grinding a lot of local lads and the likes up here in Queensland. So I'm glad to see him get his top 8 chance. That said, I'm finding the West has to be favorites, Yummy.
Yep, clear favourites. I think all 3 of us on the desk here predicted that they would be going forward. Laxon here has a good chance to prove themselves. They did so well in the double elimination. It is time to get the Raleigh Major Open number 4 underway with our first match, Fine in the West versus Jim.
Definitely an exciting one to kick off the night, Yummy. I think we've got a couple of great matches tonight, but I feel like this was one that I was more confident on predicting, and I still, I stand by my word. I'm Fine in the West just seems like the stronger team on paper here, and 11 seconds into this first game, they're going to prove my point.
They've done incredibly well to start here. The one thing I was disappointed by with this bracket is that I was hoping that we would get a matchup of Laxon versus Power here on stream after he gets dropped seemingly out of nowhere for no real good reason. But they are going to be on the same side, with the opposite side of the bracket. If Power were to lose the upper bracket, if they win, then it's the semi-finals. It's going to have to be a long journey for Fine in the West, though they could do it.
Yeah, I was having a little look at that earlier, so I guess for context for everyone, if I'm Fine in the West do win this series here, which again is probably the confident call, they would have to verse the loser of Wildcard versus Chiefs, win that match to come up against Power in the semis as well. So that in itself would be a really difficult second series for them tonight if they win this one, Yummy.
Not ideal for these 2 teams, but as we know, it is certainly about getting points on your way. And for a team like I'm Fine in the West, they need to really run up their points in order to have a chance at Worlds as well. So they're going to have to be able to beat those top teams no matter what.
Fire now taking ball to the sidewall there, but Laxon with the block. Jimmo's now got a little bit of time and space, getting challenged by Rez, who puts it to the corner. Matro a little bit stuck here, but does manage to get it out. Laxon now with an attempt on net, goes over the top, but can't quite put it into a challenging position.
A little back and forth start after maybe a shaky first 10 seconds. It's going to be Jim here on the back foot. Just trying to work their way up. They have got the dribble play into a possible demo. The Jimmo trying to get the boost steal, but does not manage to do it. It's turned around very quickly. Rez in the center. It's open, and it's off everyone, and still manages to find a 2-goal lead.
Massive full field turnaround there as well from that save from Scrub. The awareness to avoid that demo. We've gone back down the other end. Rez and Laxon together have secured that second goal, and Fine in the West now. I'm Fine in the West now. Are now off to the lead.
A little bit of a fortunate bounce to make sure that the goal goes in Rez's favour. He was fantastic in the last split. He's been a player, Rez Shores, who's been looking to try and make it to that next level, to be playing at majors and international events for quite a while in his somewhat young career. And Laxon, look how good he is. Double off the backboard. It was never easy to read. Hits the roof, over the top of Jimmo, finds the last. It's a 1v3 outplay.
Beautiful control on that one. I feel like, honestly, Yummy, he's heard you. He's got a point to prove now, and we're kicking this one off very, very fast to begin with for Laxon, but I do have to agree. I think Rez is a fantastic player as well and definitely proved himself last split. Has kind of been on those rosters before, like the old Kaka's Minions roster, where maybe he was a little quieter in comparison to teammates, with Kaka and Finn being on that roster, both very great players themselves. So I'm glad he's had the time and space here to develop a little bit better as a player, and is definitely showing a few more strengths.
I will say, people don't get where I'm being facetious. I still think that dropping Laxon was one of the biggest mistakes in recent OCE history, and we're great at making roster mistakes. That being said, you got a team with Scrub, Laxon, and Rez, who's been fantastic. They've got the qualifications, especially from Scrub in terms of international events, to be able to take it to that next stage. They've got the mechanics, they've got the young talent. The question for me is going to be whether they've got the ability to play consistently, play with their nerves, and how much work they're truly being able to put in outside of a game day. It's working out well for them so far, though. 3-0, very comfortable game so far.
Jim definitely pushed onto the back foot in this one, just challenged, I feel, every step of the way right now by I'm Fine in the West. A lot of 50s happening in this midfield. Laxon taking this one from the wall again, gets the double. Not quite midfield enough to a teammate though. Scrub's going to go for the challenge. The ball is loose again. Laxon has cut and is staying. Good decision on that one. Lets Rez rotate to the middle of the field there, and has a nice opportunity at that shot.
Very rare to see a player like Matro get outpaced that hard. Looked like Matro was first up to the ball, but Laxon completely beats him. Really good pass off the corner as well. And a great angle from Rez to get it past the last defender, who was diving from that right-hand side. So stays comfortable here, and I do have to make it an apology. GC does raise in chat that the worst roster mistake in history was keeping CJ on the Renegades for all that time, and I have to agree. So this might be the second worst.
CJ always getting flamed when he's not there. Maybe it's a little bit of karma from being here tonight for the past, that's for sure. But
he said he had to go play golf again. I don't understand.
Golf instead of no. Okay, now I can't get behind that. I'm on the flaming CJ train right now for picking golf over Rocket League. Who does that?
And he's not even here to defend himself. That's the best part. Looks like we going to find it a 4-0 at the very beginning. We were kind of expecting in the West to have a strong start, but this is maybe even better than expected. Matro, Inspire, Jimmo. Let's see what they've got in the tank to be able to turn it around.
Definitely not a bad roster. They have, I think Inspire has made a top 8 before, or maybe it was Jimmo. Mostly this roster has placed top 16 when they have played together. But they've definitely got a bit of power behind them. It's just this I'm Fine in the West roster. Again, it's just a much stronger roster on paper. These players have much more experience. They've played internationally as well. So I feel like they've come into this one a little bit more ready. We'll see if Jim can warm up to the challenge.
Yeah, a perennial top 16s with a maybe 1 or 2 top 8s probably doesn't really hold a candle to the experience of people who've been to the major. Laxon, who was 1/3 of a winning team last split. Shores, who has been around for a while, constantly making top 4s. You can see the kind of expectation difference here. That being said, we saw a lot of surprises last split, especially in event number 2, and we'll see. What have people been working on in the last couple of months during the off-season? That could make a bit of a difference here.
Oh, definitely. A lot of it really does depend on that kind of synergy and whether the players have been working hard together. You can be a great individual player. You can be a fantastic ones player, for example, but just not gel well in a new threes team. So, we've seen a few roster changes as we do every season, or as we do every split. So, I can never be too certain, but was a little confident.
Gonna have to look a little bit more into Jim. great name considering Jimmo is also on the team. Doesn't make it confusing to commentate at the same time. But look into maybe what they change up in this first or in this second game, in their first series on stream. I wonder if they're nervous considering the quality of their opponents and maybe their opportunity here to not just get prize money, to keep themselves in major contention. RLCS on-stream matches always bring out the nerves, so much more than the first 3 days where everybody essentially plays on team streams or even off-stream completely.
I think the nerves would definitely be at play a little bit here, but in saying that as well, Yummy, being the underdog in any series can also play towards your favour because there's less expectation on your shoulders. You know, we've seen teams play before when they are expected to win, when there's a lot of pressure on them, when there's something like a major on the line. Nerves can be a lot heavier of a factor then, but when you're the underdog and you've got less to lose, sometimes it can play in your favour.
Notice a few situations here where Team Jim have really been just trying to hope for mistakes coming out from Fine in the West. It just seems not the most viable strategy for getting their first goal in the series, as much as we are very capable of scoring own goals in this region. They just haven't, they've been kind of slowing down the ball and hoping somebody in front would get a demo. Unfortunately, players at that caliber are good at avoiding demos, and for now, they're stuck in their own half, Team Jim, and despite all three players being in the defense, none of them are covering the goal.
This passive play just really isn't working for them. They seem lost, Yummy. It seems like they don't have a plan. They're not thinking 2 steps ahead like I'm Fine in the West is doing at the moment. This team is a well-oiled machine. They're not reading the immediate play. They know where they want the ball to be in 30 seconds from now, and that's really helping them set up these plays. But Jim, like you said, they've just been stuck in their second half. They're getting challenged in their corners. They're being boost-starved. They don't know how to defend a net in certain moments like that when a powerful shot comes in. And it's just, again, I'm Fine in the West running away with this lead.
Inspire is so... His eyes are so big, you know? And he loves a great big Rocket League ball because he's so close to it every single time. The last 2 goals... the first one, he was at front posts, joining his teammates for a tea party. And that one was a little bit too close after the challenge and ended up not being able to follow up his own touch because he didn't have time to react. I'd like to see him just kind of relax in that defensive area a little bit more because I think that's what's causing potential lack of connection between the 3 teammates.
I'd like to see a little more aggression out of the Jim roster as well. I think we saw a little bit of demo chasing, a little bit of bumps or bump attempts being made in that first game, although Scrub reading them very well. I think eventually those kind of aggressive plays are going to result in a good attack, but we're just not seeing that out of them.
Well, Inspire did manage to get the back pass over to Jimmo. Hasn't worked out too well with them. Inspire and Metro Bay, it's just not working out. It's just not their day. Inspire has probably been the one getting the most action, not just from the opponents but from his teammates in terms of bumps. And Laxon set up, Rez is there. Laxon's got 5 more touches it seems, and 5 touches is all it takes. I don't know how Laxon stayed on the ball that long.
Just floating on that crossbar and teasing that ball in front of Natro. Scrub comes flying in to finish that one off. Far down, sends the ball into that net. They're up 3 goals at the moment, Yummy, and as much as that's not always enough of a buffer when you've got 1:40 left on the clock, something would really need to change with Jim's gameplay for them to come back in this.
Well, they're not coming back right now. A 4-0 once again, and at this point in time, as chat are starting to really dig in on Team Jim, I have to agree with them. I'm going to be looking just if they can score 1 goal in this series. Don't even think about getting 1 game. We just need to get them on the board.
How with a nice block in the center. Inspire gets demoed by Scrub though, so we are going to go back down the other way again. Although a demo on Rez, finally some aggression out of Jim. A 50 as well, doesn't matter, doesn't go in, but Matro with the follow-up there. You wanted a goal, Yummy, here it is.
I'm so proud of them. Jimmo getting the 50, Matro in perfect position. He just knew, he trusted, and that leads to the first goal. Maybe a little too late with only a minute remaining, but the perfect sweep's now off the table. There's nothing more embarrassing than getting perfect sweeps.
I don't know, I can see some chat going on. Comeback time for Jim. I don't know if I believe in it that much after that one goal. But like you said, Yummy, it's not as bad as it could be. There's one on the board. Scrub's going to come flying through and make that gap a little wider. That doesn't matter. We had a goal out of Jim, but Fine in the West just looking like they're flying ahead too far at this point.
Yep, 51 seconds, not enough to score 4 goals. I promise you that one. I will literally walk off the desk and leave Formal and you to cast the rest of the day if that happens.
That'll be Formal on his own because I won't be at the end of cast, and I'm sure he won't be too happy about that. But either way,
I don't know. It's a rare opportunity to get to solo cast RLCS. So, what?
Hang on,
come back time. Come back time.
Hang on a sec. The demo from Laxon there. That interesting. Okay, maybe it is comeback time.
Guys, they have not implemented forfeits into RLCS. I don't know what to say. I would give it. I think it should be in the rules that they have to forfeit once they're 4 goals down with less than a minute remaining. But unfortunately, you guys are going to have to take it up to Jaden. Make sure to email, message him on Twitter, Discord, and tell them about the necessitation of forfeit rules. Hell, they could even take it right now. But looks like we're going to have to roll out the last 6 seconds. Hope that they don't score another bunch of goals to see if we go all right in the next game. See if we can get more than 2. Well, that's what I said. The goals keep rolling out, and it may not have been a 4-0, but it was a 4-goal win in both games so far.
It's 6-2 in this second game. Formal, unfortunately, no solo cast for you tonight, but Yummy and I will be here for the rest of this series and for a little while longer as we have a few more to play tonight. But this one, we're halfway through. It is looking very good for I'm Fine in the West at the moment.
Yeah, everyone in chat, well, not everyone, but the people in chat very excited about the next series, and it should be a good one. TSM versus Fishing for Wins. Fishing for Wins did do pretty well in the group stage because they did take down Fine in the West. Mm-hmm. So earned a good position down there. So that should potentially be a good match. But for now, I was looking for something a bit more from Jim, and I guess we did get something a little bit more from Jim, just not enough.
A little bit of momentum, definitely a better performance than that first game. They were looking a little bit lost. They found a bit of rhythm now, but just not enough to challenge I'm Fine in the West. At the moment, it feels like this roster is playing not to be scored on more often than they're playing attack themselves at the moment, and I'm Fine in the West are just looking super comfortable. They know this field, they know where their teammates are at all times, and they're capitalizing on all of those opportunities. So it's going to take a real change for Jim to come back here at the moment.
I just love these highlights because every single one of them is pretty much Fine in the West, putting a shot on, and it's where's the defense. So I hope you guys love where's the defense? I don't know. Well, we get into game number 3. We'll find out if they figure out their defensive woes or if it's still too much. Fine in the West, as we said, good team. As Formal said, is one of his 5 contenders for the major. He's got 5 of them. And I guess they've got to start here. They've got to continue tomorrow. Again, reminder, winner of this up against the loser of the last 2 major teams tomorrow. So not the best situation.
Yeah, definitely a tricky one, but I do have to kind of agree with Formal. Out of all of the teams we have in our top 8 at the moment, Yummy, I'd put them on the cusp of top 4. It's kind of hard to confidently place them in that top 4, but I think they're sitting about 4th or 5th at the moment. They've got a shot, but Jim, on the other hand, are not looking as much so at the moment as I'm fine in the West get this first goal of our victory.
Yeah, I'm not much of a person usually for teams requiring instant synergy. I like to build synergy up over time, stay together. Teams that stay together as a roster and work through certain mistakes till they just create the synergy as a team. But when you've got low turnarounds and you've got a team with the quality of Fine in the West as they score their second goal, you kind of can rely on that early synergy. And so far, Laxon's been really setting up so many of these goals that seems that they are somewhat on the same page early on, even though it's their first event as a team.
Absolutely, and particularly with Rez at the moment as well, they seem to be setting up a lot of really great plays together. Scrub has been playing fantastically kind of that role in defense for a lot of this as well. But that pass off before from Laxon to Rez, just beautiful. Rez was floating in the air, knew exactly where that ball was going to end up from Laxon's pass, and again, they're able to nice easy goal off the back of it.
Oh, I'm worried about the defense, very worried! Players were flying left, right and centre. Matro went up the backboard, panicked even though he had his teammate in tow, and I was a little surprised that Laxon was the one to finish that one off, but just managed to be there alongside both of his teammates in the right position.
Pickup does go the way of Jim, but straight into Rez's hands. Looks for the reset. I couldn't got it there or not. Regardless, wasn't able to do anything with it. Going back down the other way now. Rez with no boost. Matro chasing this one. Does get the 50. The boost comes in time, but just after the contact there, Jimmo with plenty of time and space, looking to get this one around Laxon. Does manage to do so. Looking for a pass into centre. Can he get it past Scrub? No. Just in time on that save.
You get to this position and you got to start entertaining yourself a little bit in other ways. Chat, do we think it's going to be another 4-0? It would be 3 4-0s in a row to start the first 3 games. Or do we think that Jim might be the one to make it a 3-1 to keep it to somewhat of a game? Here they do! It's not the 3 4-0s in a row. And they've actually given themselves a chance this game.
I swear, Yummy, it feels like any time you start to rip into them a little bit, they just seem to fight back. You called out for a 3-1 and they have delivered. Jim are back in this one a little bit here, but it's going to take a lot more than that. Inspire now with 0 boost on the wall. A nice easy challenge for Scrub there. The demo on Jimmo as well. That was a bit of a tongue twister. Laxon taking the ball back into centre, gets the reset, gets it over Jimmo. Scrub with the follow-up, goes for the shot but goes too high. Rez with 0 boost now, can't get a double, and Inspire has taken control.
He's taken control, but he had to use all of his boost just to get it clear and maybe try and work it upfield for Jimmo. Rez has control of the ball himself, but gives it away to Matro. And I will say the midfield aerial advantage has been going the way of Fine in the West, but here's a chance as Jimmo gets the second goal. We're back within 1.
Hang on a sec. Maybe it is comeback time. Maybe Jim is just one of those rosters that takes a little time to warm into a series. We've seen that pattern with a few rosters before, so it does happen. It's not a huge surprise. Kickoff again goes to Rez here. He puts it high to his backboard, but Jimmo there to collect. Looking a little bit awkward, but gets the reset and passes it off to Matro. Fire now looking for the long clear, doesn't get it past Scrub though. Shot on from Rez, no, it's gone a little bit to the left.
Matro needed a bit more on that ball to turn it into a goal scoring opportunity. Jimmo going straight down the ground. It was probably not the direct play that he should have gone for. In this case, the passing play intercepted by Laxon. Has the follow-up touch. It's right in front of the goal, and it could be sealed by Fine in the West. They can get that last one with only a minute remaining. Laxon being an absolute menace at the other end. The defense jumping up like salmon left, right, and center, trying to get any contact with the ball, and they finally do. Jim out of the defense for now.
Looking a little bit scrambled for a moment there, but just taking a moment to really highlight some of the play and the synergy we do get out of I'm Fine in the West. You know, you can see Jim trying to get the ball out of defense in that last 30 seconds, and just Laxon in particular knows exactly where the pass is going to go as well. So he's able to, you know, get to the wall ahead of the pass out, ahead of the clear, and beat any players to it. But at the moment, we are caught in I'm Fine in the West End. Massive lob from Macho. Can he get it to a teammate? He's going to follow it up himself. Takes the shot. Scrub there on the backboard for the save. Not an equalizer just yet, Yummy.
I don't know. I would have loved to see Inspire just push up hard on that one. They had 25 seconds remaining and they need a goal. Could have been a chance if he took the risk to push forward and trying to beat the defenders to the ball. 5 seconds left. Into the Fine in the West. Into the West is a great Lord of the Rings song. Trying to hold on to this lead.
Ooh.
And they managed to do it. It's a 3-0 convincing victory for a team that, well, barring the bracket, could have been one of the favourites.
I feel like Jim at the end there, Yummy, seemed like they maybe had an opportunity to equalise this. Could have taken it to OT, which is a little bit disappointing, but let the ball drop at that last second. But
Yeah.
no, we're right. You're right. We're 3 games down for I'm Fine in the West at the moment. Jim are on their back foot. They need to do something. And that game, honestly, the performance has been getting better and better throughout this series. So who knows, maybe this game 4 could take us to OT. Maybe we will see a game for Jim in this game 4, but I'm still a little doubtful.
I don't know. That left a little sour taste in my mouth, and it's just lack of experience where Jim could have really pushed hard for that final goal, for that tie-up. And now they need a reverse sweep. I don't think we're getting a timeout either. So they're just giving up.
Heart's not in it.
They haven't remembered that they could get a timeout. I don't know what's going on. But you know, we did see a lot better performance from them. We saw the goal scoring, but more importantly, we saw the defense a little bit more synergistic, and at least there are some good signs, some breathing signs here for Jim.
Definitely a little bit more action than we saw at the beginning. But Yummy, you raised a really good point. Honestly, I forgot as well. You know, I've been too immersed in the gameplay at the moment and completely forgot about the fact that we do have timeouts, and somehow Jim has not utilized this, and they absolutely should have. 7 seconds into this 4th game, I'm Fine in the West. They're already in the lead.
Could have really used that timeout buff. I've noticed this a few times. Jimmo in this case getting absolutely dunked. Trying to race people in the defense is quite a risky maneuver. You might think as you're going out, yeah, I'm going to beat them, I'm going to get it past them, but when it doesn't work out, when you do get dunked, it is all the more likely you get scored on. And it's been 18 seconds for 2 goals. I'm worried, ladies and gentlemen, on how long a series could go if you score 20 goals in a game.
It is kind of looking that way at the moment at the start of this game 4. I have to make a comment as well on, you know, we've talked about it a few times in this series, Yummy, but the defense out of Jim is just lacking at the moment. Macho with that clear wasn't great, put it immediately into the hands of the I'm Fine in the West roster. So it really is just feeling like they're quite deflated at the moment, and that their heart is not in this one. You know, you still got to push. You have to push right through to the end if you want to stay in it.
I've been playing a lot of free play lately and practicing that exact shot. I've never, in my entire time of practicing that shot, got even half the amount of power Laxon did just then. I think he's different gravy here, folks. He's there's someone in the air, and 2-0. Doesn't look like it's going to be going any differently in this game, I reckon.
No, I think you're right with that one. Although Jimmo does manage to get the little touch on that ball there to get Jim out in the clear for now. Inspire with a ball to the center though. Matro bangs it to that corner, but no boost for the follow-up. Gets that mid boost though. Does take it off. I'm fine in the West there. Just trying to get the ball out at the moment, it seems like, for Jim. They're just stuck in the corner. They're stuck in their half. They've been boost starved for most of it. And Scrub now on the attack. Is he going to get the goal here? No, Jimmo and Inspire jump to that one. Rez may follow it up, goes for the double, but can't quite get that one.
Another chance as Scrub takes over because he had a bit more boost in the tank than Laxon. Does get countered on the other end, and again, just very direct. It's almost like, okay, there's the goal. I've got to run down the pitch in the direction of the net. I need a little bit more lateral movement to come out from Jim just to make it a bit harder to read, to give them more options on angles. Maybe they are just a bit too rushed considering how this series has gone. May have gotten to their head a little bit here. So they weren't really having that same issue in game one.
Laxon with an attempt at the double there. The second touch just drops it in front of net, but not enough power to finish that one. And Jimmo there in time to clean it up. Laxon again, though, goes for another attempt, gets 50'd by Matro. It's looking dangerous. Inspire misses it. The follow-up as well. Hang on a sec. We need to see that one again. Inspire just hits the roof of the goal there. Misses it. Matro on the follow-up as well. Can't make contact. My, oh my, that is not the kind of goal you want to see out of I'm Fine in the West. That is not the defense we need to see out of Jim to stay in this one.
We've all done it, but we're all, not meant to be SSL playing at RLCS. So it is funny to see the old headbutt of the roof of the net, stopping an easy save. This is just showing exactly why they're in this situation through this series. And once again, Morgie, starting off a game with 4-0. It's been 3 out of 4.
Are you saying there's no more goals to be had in this one? Or do you think that Jim will come back with something? I'm Fine in the West will match it and we'll have another 4-goal differential.
I think we're going to have a lot more goals. But you remember game 2, it was a 2-6, but it started off 4-0. It was a little bit of a comeback. And you know what? Everybody always says it's just that last minute and a half that counts. So if you think about that, maybe that game was a 2-2 and they should have been playing overtime.
Definitely. It was a good performance towards the end of the game, but it's just a shame that it was too little too late. And it is seeming like this game may go the same way unless Jim can find just that little bit of momentum. Inspire may kick that momentum off. Little tap in goal here gives them one on the board. Scrub can't get there either. Inspire puts one on the board, and yummy, we've got a 3-goal deficit. We're getting there.
Yeah, come back, as Toby would say in chat. But I like that from Matro. He wasn't direct towards the net, got a few extra touches. Almost own goal from Rez. I was a little worried, but Scrub managed to read his teammate, get back towards the net and pick it up. Turned it into a backwards pass. Laxon, he's been deadly in terms of setting up goals throughout the series. Didn't set up another one. A minute remaining. Should be all she wrote, but I'm expecting at least one more goal.
One more to give us that 4-goal differential maybe, but I don't know. There's still plenty of time on the clock for more than one to happen here. Laxon, that sideball doesn't get the touch there. It's almost a bit of a race with Inspire to make that contact. Matro does center it though. Jimmo gets the reset, goes too high. It doesn't matter. Laxon almost a little bit awkward there, but no teammate for the follow-up, yummy.
Yeah, I've seen so many times where Jimmo's on attack and he just doesn't quite have enough boost, and maybe that's something that he can look at after a series like this. Let's just see why he's potentially missing a bit of extra boost that would have been able to score him a couple more goals in this series. That's the advantage of versing one of the much higher level teams, much more experienced teams in the region. A 4-1 victory. There's not going to be another goal. Damn it!
Oh, and if that isn't perfect storytelling, I don't know what is, ladies and gentlemen. Yummy has gotten his 4-goal differential in this final game. That's 3 games with a 4-goal differential. But nonetheless, fine in the West. They were the stronger team going into this on paper. They were the stronger team performance-wise today, and they've come out of the series 4-0 against Jim.
Yeah, strong looking performance right there for I'm Fine in the West. And to be quite frank, I kind of feel like, considering their matchup that they're going into tomorrow, they needed to make this a statement series. They needed to win this one comfortably, because if they truly are a favorite, like, well, at least this one thinks they are, if they had even dropped a game, I'd be questioning myself.
Unfortunately, you think maybe they're not going to be enough against the likes of Chiefs and Wildcard, the loser of that series. But do you have a little bit more hope now after seeing this one?
I mean, I always am going to have hope for a team that I'm pegging as one of the 5 teams running. I think they definitely have the skill. We saw Laxton's mechanics throughout that series. It was kind of just, especially games 2 and 3, just the nonstop highlight reel. Granted, that's what happens when you're in free play and there's no defense you're coming up against, but we'll be curious to see where they go from here after this one.
I did love that. I love to see Laxton fitting into the roster. I actually think maybe fitting into the roster better than he did on Scrims World at times. Scrub, in order to facilitate that, did take a bit more of a back step than we normally see. He's normally very aggressive on the ball. So they've obviously done really well in scrims to make some adjustments.
It's going to be exciting to see. Obviously, we won't find out who they're going to be up against until after our 3rd game today, but we still have another elimination match right around the corner, so stick around. Game number 2 when we come back.
Consider the world as a drop.
We are heading towards the Raleigh Major OCE event number 1 for the split to determine who's exactly going to be representing OCE. Formal. You know, we embarrassed ourselves a little bit on the international stage. I've always had some really high hopes. I thought we were going to make top 8 in the last one. Are we thinking that it's a build-up from here, given that the rosters have mostly stayed the same?
I mean,
Or
we
can't struggle a little bit again.
Can't really go further down. I mean, nothing against Luminosity right there, but the expectation for our region has always been to be competing for top 8s and to not even get to that sort of 2-3 spot that wild card always sits at was a little bit disappointing. Yes, that said, what I think was more disappointing, for at least for TSM and TSM fans, was the fact that they didn't even make the regional Morgie, and now already in the lower bracket round 1, it's one of the 3 rosters that stuck together. Should they be concerned?
I mean, it's tricky when you've got such powerhouses like Wildcard, who went so long so undefeated. I know, yes, the drop to Scrim's World, but that's not to take away how much of a dominant force they are. The Chiefs as well. You know, we do have some strong teams, and TSM they've had a bit of a challenge with that one. Looking at them dropping into the lower bracket again, it's at fault of Wildcard. You know, it wasn't in groups, but Wildcard have put them into the lower bracket tonight, is what I'm saying.
Exactly, and it was also because Wildcard once again lost to Laxon, which is why they found up in this wacky situation. But I actually have to applaud TSM, because even though you might question should they have stuck together, I do think it was the right choice overall. I think it shows maturity for some of the players on this team that they're able to stick with this roster and believe, no, this is the team, we can do it. And even though they hit an early setback against our top team, when you only need to get top 2, all right, fine, let's just beat everybody else then, Yummy.
I think they should be in contention. They're still well in contention of Worlds. And, you look at them and the Now Power, the ex-Scrims World roster, were very similar on points. But TSM had that consistency. They've got a really good bracket in the lower bracket, given that they are down here, in order to be able to make at least a semi-finals, even potentially a final here. And I think everything is set up for their success. They're here to win, and as you said, they've stuck together as a roster. They've got 3 players, all with international experience. It should be a very solid run. It needs to be convincing up against Fishing for wins, though, because as much as I love Big Rooster, as much as I love this team, they are meant to be a step below.
I do think it's interesting, too, that you're bringing up the Worlds connotation. And I think for TSM, Chiefs struggling and not winning a series was almost the best case scenario, because they make that major, they win 1 series there. That's pretty much Worlds for them. So, I'm glad you brought that up. That is obviously the goal for all the teams in this region, is to be one of those 2 that goes to the grandest stage. And it's still very much in their hands, Morgie.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, they've still got an opportunity, and I don't think they're sweating it too much at the moment. Obviously, this is the first open of this major as well, so still a couple of more opportunities, even if they have ended up in this lower bracket at the moment. But again, they're not really sweating it today, are they? On paper, again, like our first series, I feel like we've got a stronger or a more dominant force in this series as well in TSM. It's almost like tonight is a bit of a warm-up for some of these stronger teams going into tomorrow, I would say.
You still got to sweat it a little bit. You can't afford to falter in any of these events, because the race is so tight. And 7 for 8 basically knocks you out from the major and Worlds instantly, which is what happens when you've got 2 teams out of the region going over, as opposed to maybe 4. And obviously Formal, we're not expecting OCE to get a 3rd spot in the wild cards, which is a new system this year. I think that's going to be a bit tough now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit tough. And even this series, though, to kind of go back to what Morgan was saying, can be a bit tough as well. Like, you can't overlook Fishing to wins. I'm fine in the West. Maybe it did that yesterday, and that's how come they're in the lower bracket. So this team has already kind of pulled off one larger upset. Granted, this is a whole nother day when we get on to these ones. But yeah, the focus has to be Worlds, but also the opponent in front. I don't expect this one to be as one-sided as necessarily our last series was, although TSM certainly is going to be hoping it will be.
Well, we are about to get underway. Going to get a little predictions. I think we've all got the one team. Just quickly, what's the scoreline going to be at the end of the best of 7?
4-0. 4-0. It's
I'd say
another
4-1.
sweep.
I'd say 4-1. I'm giving
I'll
you the
take
game.
the other one. I believe in Big Rooster. It's going to be a 4-2. Let's get this underway.
I didn't realize I became the pessimistic one, Morgie. Since when does that happen? Normally, I'm the one who's just like, yeah, underdogs, this is how they're going to do it. This is their way through. But I don't know what's happened there. Look, this series means too much for TSM, I think, to be anything but perfect right now. Even though, yes, Destiny is still in their hands, they're still needing to perform. They're still one step behind teams like the Chiefs and Wildcard. So when you can't afford to slip up, you win the series you're supposed to.
I don't know. I do agree, Formal, but I think the point that you made before about kind of underestimating your opponent, I feel like that could be to TSM's detriment in this one. Again, I don't think I'm Fishing for Wins are going to come out the victors here, but I think a little slip up from TSM could give them an opportunity for a game. They did take out I'm Fine in the West yesterday. You did rate that team as one of those, as that say top 5 rosters in this, and TSM are up there with them. So I think they're a little bit of opportunity here. I do have to agree, but it would require TSM to slip up.
It would require them to slip up a bit, but this is the player that I'm most excited to see right there, Volt in particular, on the Fishing for Win side. He has been the player I feel like has been stepping up. Yes, Yuxi is an exciting young player on the up and coming. Rooster's defense is, always been something that gets people excited, but Volt has actually been the player who has been kind of carrying these teams to like upset wins and big time goals in clutch situations. So for this roster, this top 8 is a great stepping stone. A bit unfortunate they're against TSM. I'm sure they feel like they could have beaten any of the other teams they would expect to come up against. But yeah, again, you can't overlook, like, these are 3 very hungry players with a ceiling that seems to be getting higher and higher with each event.
I mean, even that being said, come to think of it, you play a team of TSM's caliber or of the Chiefs' caliber or Wildcard's caliber, and if you are a team with a good mental or a good headspace about this, use that as an opportunity to learn and to grow and to get better. That's how teams get better, right? It's scrims, it's close games, and that's how you learn. So regardless, this is a good opportunity here.
Yeah, and I mean, that shot almost went in, and those are the moments that are going to test the mental of our, upset chasers in this one, thinking maybe Yuxi should have had that. That's okay. Head down, go for it again. The fact that we're halfway through this game and most of the shots have been coming from Yuxi, an opportunity for Volt. Can't get around it. Okay, TSM, we're halfway through this game. You should be warmed up now. Let's see some of that explosive offense that we know you have.
TSM really just being challenged a lot more than we thought they would initially to begin this one. It seems like it's taking all 3 players in defense at the moment to keep this ball out of the clutches of I'm Fishing for Wins, but it's just shot after shot at the moment. It's challenge after challenge. Eventually something's going to sink. Yuxi goes a little too wide on that one. Parker, he's going to try and get this one out.
This is not where I would expect this Fishing for Wins roster to be playing. I mean, I look at this lineup and I see very strong defensive players. Good little dunk from Memphis, not enough. Now Yuxi Breakaway just has to flick it over Kaka. It doesn't get enough distance right there. I mean, look, I look at any big Rooster team and I'm assuming they're going to be tough to score against. They're going to be a real defensive powerhouse. However, I would say of the first 3 minutes, at least 2.5 have been attacking for the orange side. Yuxi double, it goes in!
Yuxi with the first shot, or the first goal of this series, of this game. The reset to the backboard doubles it past Super Lucky and Kaka. Neither of them making it to that one in time for. That is an explosive way to kick off this series.
Yuxi was hunting for that goal for a while. We kept seeing him getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden, Fishing for Wins, they may have hooked something here game 1. Still a minute and a half to go. However, they're still playing forward third. They're still attacking the corner. It's just been so difficult for TSM to get any good defensive touches.
Feels like TSM have just been sleeping a little to begin this one. There's not enough pressure coming out of them in offense at the moment. They're just being challenged in this midfield. The ball's going back down the other way. So I'm Fishing for Wins half. Lucky now with a maybe opportunity, but Yuxi does steal it off him, pops it into the center of field, going to look for the pass here. No boost for the follow-up himself. No follow-up there either from Big Rooster, and Volty pressed to get this ball out in time.
I thought that was a fake by how much Rooster missed it. It looked like it opened up the net. It didn't really work out, though. That said, Amphis will equalize. Unfortunately for Fishing for Wins, a bit of momentum was lost after that failed attack. Vault also just straight up missed, unfortunately. Good play by Kaka, I should say, playing it off the backboard, and now we're tied, 42 seconds left.
The big Rooster in net without any boost either made that save off emphasis. Got very, very difficult, but it just seems like we've had a momentum shift, Formal. All of a sudden, TSM, maybe it's been a little bit of panic, maybe it's been a little bit of hang on a sec, we have a challenge on our hands here, we need to do something. Kaka has turned this all around and put a second goal on the board, and now all of a sudden, I'm Fishing for Wins are chasing TSM to equalize this game.
That was just a very clean kickoff from the TSM side. Yuxi wants to respond in kind. Volt goes high with it. And Rooster doesn't have the boost to chase. Still, pressure coming for Fishing. Rooster almost off the backward. Open net for Volt. No, goes high. Pressure getting to Fishing for Wins. I know it's game one. It would have been a huge equalizer. 15 seconds left.
Lucky there with the follow-up as well, but sends it a bit wide. 3 defenders, Formal. 3 defenders from I'm Fishing for Wins in net here. I know boost was low. Big Rooster got bumped. He was the only one with enough boost in the tank there. Yuxi and Volty both just not diving the right way to that ball. Another goal on the board for TSM. 9 seconds left on the clock. 8. We are counting down. This is going to go the way of TSM.
And it was 3 goals in about 1:15 seconds for TSM to get back in this one. Momentum shifting back in their favor. And yeah, I got to highlight, I know they're going to say MVP for that game was Amphis, but realistically, I think it was Kaka who came through with the good backboard play for the first goal, clean kickoff for the second. Just good play overall for TSM with their back against the wall. And maybe that's going to be a metaphor for how this team is going to perform throughout these next 3 regionals, because their back is against the wall and they need to perform. They do so in game 1.
Absolutely. I think the exciting thing about the TSM roster as well, like any of the top rosters, is, you know, we look at this game performance, right? And Super Lucky in particular was the quieter one out of the 3. Amphis and Kaka both performing, I would say, a little bit better, doing a little bit more damage in that first game. But I wouldn't be surprised if in this second game, Lucky pops off and scores 3 or 4 goals himself. There's rosters where there's no one particular star player in any game or any series. They can all solo play. They can all perform some really good team plays and everything, and they can all star in their own show in different games. Whereas some of the lower rosters have to rely on one star player. And you know, we're talking about Volt maybe being that kind of star player on the Fishing for Wins side. So if Volt does get targeted, it leaves the net open a little bit more. So I think that's the exciting thing about TSM and something we're going to see throughout this series.
Yeah, I do think, and I'm excited to see that, not just this series, but I guess TSM as a whole, because realistically, the 3 of them do have to step up if they're going to compete with any of the other, I'm going to straight up say top 5. I mean, we've seen Power. They went undefeated yesterday. You have teams like the Chiefs still looking undefeated. Even, you know, the best in the West, they're still looking pretty strong for what we saw as well. So if you look at it as a marathon and not a sprint, yes, all 3 have to step up. I'm always confident Super Lucky can bring it back. It's really Amphis that I want to see more big-time performances for TSM moving forwards right now, because I think back to the Amphis of like 2-3 years ago and how much of an impact player they were, and now when I kind of ask around, people still put Amphis as like a top 5 player, top 6 player, just based on what they've done in the past and the potential from them. I want to see that more in big regional matches. I want to see Amphis take over a big semifinal or a big final to remind us all who he is.
I see that reputation matched a little bit more, but I do tend to agree that the reputation is there for a reason. He has been a fantastic player, you know, playing with the likes of Super Lucky and Kaka as well. You've got a really good mix of strong players, and they're all going to shine in their own way. We are going to go back down the other end at the moment. We're still looking or hunting for an opportunity here. No boost in the tank. Volty does come through and set up an opportunity, but Amphis there to protect it. 50 from Yuxi as well. Puts the ball loose, but we are caught in the midfield.
As we do see another lob shot going across to the other side, Super Lucky will collect and chase it down, not in. Ball still up for grabs. Kaka got there first, but the 50 went against the TSM side. Now it's Amphis' turn, looking for Kaka underneath, intercepted by Volt. And we're starting to see this Fishing for Wins defense, the one that I've been excited to watch. They're great on the passing plays. Can they stop the individual mechanics? Oh no, it's a pre-jump way out of the way, and no goal is scored.
Nothing just yet. Tie ball game still 0-0 on the board. But we are in Fishing for Wins half at the moment. They're hungry, they want something, they want that lead again, but they need to be able to hang on to it. They were playing well at the start of that first game, but I do think it was TSM lacking a little bit as well, and they've definitely stepped things up.
Kaka just out of nowhere nearly puts one in right there. I thought that was a goal. Instead, it's the other way. Where's the defense, Morgie? Rooster couldn't find it. That's why it's 1-0.
Open net. Amphis challenging that one without any boost in it. Oh, was he bumped?
Yuxi got a bump in the middle of the net.
Oh, okay. I was really confused for a second there. Oh, it wasn't on Amphis, but...
No.
Yeah, for a second, Amphis challenging without any boost in the tank, and then, yeah, maybe just expecting that and it was in net to be able to collect that one. The bump from Yuxi, though, taking defense out of the equation. Definitely a little bit of physical play working in on Fishing for Wins' favor.
I love this play and performance so far from Yuxi as well. Again, you know, kind of the youngest player on this roster, the one now with the most approved, looking to make a statement. I know people in the Twitch chat backing this guy as well. And I mean, the aggressive shots, the aggressive bumps, Yuxi really wanting to be that guy and nearly gets a breakaway goal right there. Ball will roll to the backboard where Super Lucky's waiting. This is the second game now in a row with a late lead for Fishing for Wins. 2 minutes to go. Can they actually hold on this time?
They can do so, but it's just, you know, like you said with Yuxi, just being that kind of younger player on the team with a little bit more to prove, or hasn't been around for as long, definitely coming out of the gates, swinging at the moment. Had a couple of really good attempts, a spectacular goal in that first game as well, so it's only a matter of time before we see another. They've just got to be careful with TSM putting the pressure on in offense at the moment.
Those 3 players forward for Fishing for Wins. Bolts the one further stop with no boost. I don't know if they get there in time. Super Lucky gets the goal. TSM takes advantage of the over-aggressive Fishing for Wins.
And off from Kaka as well. The buzz on Volt. Super Lucky capitalizes, puts that one in the net, and it is tied ball game again in this second game. And Fishing for Wins now having to seek another. They had an easier task had they just hold on to this one, but now they are going to have to get another against a very, very cautious TSM.
Yeah, TSM definitely is playing a lot more cautious, it does feel like. Kaka in particular has been playing a bit further back than everyone else, and I mean, that's typically the role where you would almost expect a player like Kaka to be. So we're going to miss that time, though. Volt also does well in the next 50-50. Ball gets behind Amphis. TSM looking a little sloppy again. This could work out in favor of Fishing, although Volt puts it too far forward. Super Lucky takes it away. And again, it's the blue side on the attack. Or are they? Amphis mispositions, and we go coast to coast.
Looking a little bit awkward in front of net here as well, although Kaka is careful with that one. Gets bumped. That been really, really dangerous there. Very lucky for TSM that teammates are aware of that. We're going to hit the post and go down. Ball has bounced out. Not a goal just yet. Well, back in this corner now. Picks up the boost pad. We might see a solo attempt here, but Amphis cuts that one off.
Oh, awkward touch. Super Lucky reading Yuxi well. Can't turn it into a goal. 15 seconds away from overtime. TSM might have one more chance. Amphis tries to make a play underneath. Won't be able to find too much. Lucky has to keep it controlled. Looking for Kaka. Back down for Amphis. Double commit on the defense. They saw it coming. The pinch. It's a lobber. It's not quite on target. Super Lucky was there. 0 seconds to go. And the ball, you expect to hit the ground, but Kaka wants to keep it going. Keeps it to Lucky. We do go to overtime.
First overtime of the night. It is looking dicey at the moment for both teams. A little bit of panic setting in both ways, it's seeming at the moment. Had a couple of really great opportunities and a couple of spectacular misses as well, as will happen in Rocket League. The Amphis now look for the centered ball, but not quite enough yet.
Pop up, Burns boost from Kaka, looking to set up a good midfield touch, but not expecting Amphis to make the play forward. That's going to do it for game 2. Amphis seals the deal.
Yeah, just catching everyone off guard here. The pass from Amphis, though. Volt was on that wall with him, but didn't expect the read. Big Rooster on the back foot there with no boost. Makes the attempt to rush over the face of that net. can't get there in time. TSM, take the second game.
What's interesting with that one, watching the replay, it looked like Rooster was hoping for the corner boost to spawn to be able to make that jump. And it just didn't come for them. And I'm looking at that situation. They did a good job of getting Kaka to bite, burn that boost, but Volt didn't have the resources to push forward, and Rooster didn't have the resources to play defense. So a little bit of a mismanagement on the boost in the end gives TSM the go-ahead goal. 2 close games though, Morgie. Fishing for wins, definitely keeping this interesting. However, I'm also seeing a lot of missed opportunities from the orange side. There's been a lot of shots that have been post out. Couple in game 1. There was that big one here in game number 2 as well. They're putting up a fight. 9 saves is incredible, but they're not finishing their plays.
No, you're right. I think they're definitely putting TSM on their toes. Whether they expected that or not going into this series has been somewhat of a challenge for both sides. But, you know, you're right, Formal. I think I'm fishing for wins. The thing is, they're not polished enough at the moment. They don't have those 1%ers at the end to finish off these plays. They're not boost starving TSM as much as TSM are boost starving them. You know, it's resource management as well. They're not careful with their rotations. Maybe the comms aren't as polished. They're not reading where their teammates are as well as TSM are at the moment. But regardless, that's not to say the skill hasn't been there from, you know, mechanically from UXI, you know, reading from Volt as well. So there is an opportunity. They've just got to be careful of the little things.
It feels to me like they came out in this one really hyped up, playing super, super excited, super fast, super aggressive. And by having these leads for so long, I mean, you could argue that maybe that play was warranted. They haven't been able to seal it yet. Again, I'm worried about the mental. I'm worried about the stage right now in terms of, like, can you continue that aggressive, you know, go crazy style when you've lost 2 games in a row? I'm surprised they didn't take the timeout. I really am. I feel like the timeout to keep themselves motivated would have been the right call right there. Instead, we play on, still 0-0 in this game, obviously. But if they don't get that first goal in this game, as Super Lucky nearly does something incredible, I worry that could be it for the team in orange.
Timeouts are definitely underutilized as they were last split as well. You know, whether they were games that I was casting or games that I was listening to you guys cast. I know it's something that Yummy touched on a lot. A lot of teams waiting till they were in a 3-game deficit in the series before they're using their timeouts, rather than using it at that 2-game deficit mark, where they can come back a little harder. You know, when you're 3 games in deficit, you've got a reverse sweep. You don't want it to get to that point.
No, you really don't, and unfortunately, fishing for wins. I mean, maybe the lack of timeout is a confidence sign, saying that, like, hold on, we've been leading for a majority of this series despite being down 2 games. Just need to finish, and I can respect that as well if it gets them that win. Obviously, there'll be questions if it doesn't work, but that's just the nature of sport. Here we go, UXI across the middle, actually goes underneath Kaka, follow from Volt. No, it's Rooster. Volt had the boost, maybe was in a better spot, but because the double commit, they nearly give up a goal.
Kaka in the corner now, does have full boost in the tank, going to look for this solo play, doesn't have enough on it to follow that one, and Big Rooster was there to get it away, but Super Lucky does collect it on that side wall. All 3 of I'm Fishing for Wins players right now caught in their net at that moment. Amphis making sure the ball stays in this half, but the 50 comes. Again, we're just caught in this midfield again, Paul. There's a lot of back and forth, and Fishing are just struggling to keep it.
That was a great challenge. Unfortunately, it's a fake. Wait, maybe no. Too slow on the follow-up. The fake. There was no boost, couldn't take the shot. Doesn't really work out. That was an unexpected opportunity, but now it comes the other way. TSM Amphis looking for a teammate. Instead finds Volt, pushes Kaka back, so it's going to be Locky out of the corner. Wants to keep it high. Has an assist across the middle. Amphis puts a shot on, but UXI playing defense. Patient play rewards Fishing for Wins as we continue to go back and forth.
Indeed, Kaka does get it out with a touch there, but a little bit awkward on that follow-up. Amphis with all the time and space in the world. UXI's going to come in for the challenge. It goes over the top of his head. Almost looked a little bit dangerous there, but Volt was still back had he needed to save that one. Super Lucky going to look for another on net. Taking it slow, gets it over 1, looking for the finisher into net. No. It's too easy for him. TSM are on the board.
Yeah, just sometimes slow it down. Fair enough. I mean, one challenge without boost right there. Lockie was going to outpace that. Second challenge low on boost as well. The second goal in a row where I look at the boost management on Fishing for Wins, and then I look at TSM and how they capitalize on it. Really well done for the TSM side. Pressure very much now on Fishing for Wins. I want to see that aggressive side of them again. Here we go. Vault. Reset. Can he get past 3? No, can't even get past 1.
Brewster with a opportunity here, but no boost, so very easy for Super Lucky to get in the way of that one. Ampus is going to look to take it back down the other end of the field, dribbling it on the floor at the moment. Wixie trying to take it into center. Lockie's there though, he's lurking, he takes it off him, he wants this one, goes past Big Rooster. Volty does get the save, but not enough, doesn't clear it far away enough. It's in the clutches of Kaka, who puts it into that bottom right corner.
Oh my good, that is twice now Lockie just slowing it down, and Fishing for Wins unable to respond. I mean, Lockie is so dangerous in that spot. How can you blame them? You kind of just have to pick a direction and hope for the best when you're against a player of this caliber. Great job by Lockie. Obviously Kaka there to seal the deal. 2-goal lead, 1 minute to go. TSM looking for the 3-game and point lead. Unfortunately, they can't get the goal just yet.
Slow and steady does win the race sometimes. You know, we're always so focused on pace and speed in Rocket League, but sometimes the slow play is everything you need. This one was just a beautiful angle from Anthus here, past 2 defenders in net. Kaka with an attempt of his own, but does get saved. Anthus with the follow-up. TSM now up by 3 in this 3rd game.
It's pretty impressive how much stronger TSM starts to look as soon as they start calming things down a bit, slowing it down, and just relying on, in this situation, I guess, individual plays. A lot of solo plays have been bearing fruit in this one, and that's an interesting thing for a defense that I would rate very high when we're looking at sort of bubble scene teams. And yeah, I mean, this is where those experiences are really good. Go up against some of the best solo players in the region in both Amphis and in Super Lucky and see how you go. But slowing it down, solo plays, taking advantage of, you know, mismanagement of the boost, that's been TSM's keys for victory so far.
Absolutely. And you know what it makes me think, Paul, is that TSM, they've still got a little bit to learn, right? They've still got to develop different play styles, become more adaptable when they're playing other teams. And it seems that maybe they're so used to playing those faster paced teams, those teams like Wildcard, those teams like Chiefs, who are going to pressure them to have to play fast, that they bring that play style into games against teams like Fishing for Wins, who are maybe a little bit slower, a little bit more composed in net when they need to be sometimes. And TSM is starting to realize that those slower plays and kind of taking it a little bit easier and not rushing things is sometimes what they need to vary against other teams.
Well, we do have a timeout right now for Fishing for Wins, so they're going to be looking to regroup. It's the first time they've been shut out this series, and the least amount of shots they've had in a game, as well as TSM definitely has come a bit more alive. So good signs for the TSM faithful. They're starting to really find themselves more in what they want in this series. We'll see how Fishing for Wins do bounce back. But to carry on your point, Morgie, while the slowing it down is working against this team, is that going to work against a team like Wildcard, who is always wanting to be in your face and aggressive, or even the Chiefs at times? That was kind of their approach last split. I'm not sure if that's still going to be their approach this split based on what I was able to see yesterday. But like when you're going against those top 2 teams who are always going to be in your face and don't really allow you to slow it down, can they go back to this passing strategy that wasn't really working against Fishing for Wins?
It's hard to say because you raise a good point. I mean, teams like Wildcard and the Chiefs aren't going to give TSM the time and space for those solo players. Like we've seen Fishing for Wins here, not really rushing Lockie when he does take the ball up and does start beginning that solo play. Wildcard are going to rush that. Chiefs are going to rush that. First man's going to rush that. Second man's going to be there for the follow-up. It's tricky to say, but this rush play, maybe it's something they just need to polish a little bit better. They need to kind of, I guess, emulate that kind of fast play that Wildcard and the Chiefs do have. They've got that down pat. They're really good at that pacey play, and it's something that we just haven't polished yet. Although, like we said, the slow controlled play does work. They need to polish that fast play for teams like Wildcard.
I mean, it'll be exciting to see that on the Fishing for Wins side. I mean, I liked it when they were trying to go for the fast play style as well in games 1 and 2. It's just been like little boost management hiccups, which is, I guess, the difference between the good teams and the great teams who are able to do that in this region. So we'll see how they look About to get ready for game number 4 again. This is TSM looking for a clean 4-0. Who could have seen that one coming? We'll see if they're going to be able to push their way through. Yummy pointed it out before as well. They may have the easier run in that lower bracket. Could be one of, the better side effects of just kind of where they wound up. That said, if I'm not mistaken, whereas, best in the West is going up against the loser of our next series, it would mean that if TSM wins this and continue to win, they would eventually have to go up against the winner of Chiefs versus Wildcard in the semifinals.
Right, okay, so we'd have an interesting semi-final that could have potentially been a grand final. Nonetheless, sorry, we've already had a 1-goal lead, a bit awkward there as the ball hits that roof and bounces back down. TSM, nice, easy finish. But yeah, I tend to agree that it's almost, obviously they need to win this. They want to win this. It's single elim because they did qualify through the levels, so there's no question about that, but it does make it hard when you know who you're coming up against next.
Yeah, well, again, it wouldn't be till the semifinals, so they might have a interesting matchup next. I'm not going to go too hard on the predictions, but I'm pretty sure Prime's Petty Pups is the most likely opponent for this series. Volt bids against a nice 1v1, and we're tied.
Beautiful, does get the reset there. Challenges Super Lucky, positions his car well enough so that 50 does send the ball into net rather than across the face of the net, which is obviously what Lockie was trying to do there, and I'm fishing for wins. They're coming out swinging this one. Can they get another though? We're gonna see. Here's the aggressive play. Here's the bread and butter that we have seen out of TSM in the past. Super Lucky, great comms there. Obviously, Kaka was calling out that he was going for Rooster, gets the demo, takes that defender out of net, making that too easy for Super Lucky.
Rooster had boost as well, but Kaka still able to find the speed to chase him down. That's pretty crazy. And Kaka as well, I would say, was primarily responsible for TSM's first goal, finding that touch off the roof. So Kaka now stepping up here in game number 4, looking for that chance to push their way through. And again, just to reemphasize the crazy points of how when you look at the rosters, realistically, you're looking at 5, maybe 6 contenders. If you finish 5th, 6th, even in this first regional, let alone 7th, 8th, your chances for that major, they don't look good at all. As Amphis nearly gets another one to go through. So TSM very lucky they might get the easier matchup in the next semifinal or the quarterfinal, and that's where they're pushing themselves at this stage.
This was a great save from Big Rooster, have to highlight there, to come off the top of the net and be able to make it to that one in time, but unfortunately just not enough power to clear that one out far enough that TSM weren't able to get to it. But nonetheless, they have still more than half a game left on this clock at the moment, but TSM just looking too dominant and fishing for wins right now.
Amphis, good touch out the net's going to try to follow this one through the corner as well. And yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of sort of awkward commits, awkward defensive challenges right now coming from the fishing to win side. Rooster had to go, didn't work out. Volt, though, has been the more composed member of the team, is able to do a nice job, and that sets up the shot, and Yuxi seals the deal. So still in it, fishing for wins, only down by 1.
Fantastic read off Yuxi here, just positions himself in a good enough position to get that light touch onto the ball. Doesn't need anything powerful, just the slightest touch will do. And that deficit is reducing. It's only a 1-goal lead for TSM at the moment, almost looking like it was going to be 2, but Volt gets there in time.
So I've noticed mild debate in the chat right now, and I'm kind of curious what they think of this one. The new TSM cars, yay or nay? Personally, I'm yay on them, but I like the Dragon more.
I need to get a closer look. I was way too focused at the moment. Oh, yeah,
I'll
okay.
focus on important things like gameplay and goals and implications.
How dare I be trying to read gameplay and do play-by-play? How could I when I could be looking at these beautiful cars? But oh no, I can see why there's a debate going on in chat. It is nice, but it's not as good as the Dragon.
Yeah, bring back the Dragon. Well, we're going to see Kaka right now put it through. Amphis might become TSM's Dragon as things progress, as they now have, again, that 2-goal lead. More comfortable position than they were before. Fishing for wins. Still fighting, though, and I like to see that from them. Kickoff goes in their favor. Let's see what Kaka can do off the backboard.
Half a game left on the clock. Super Lucky sends that one at net, but it hits the crossbar. We hear the ding. We know it happens. Back down the other way we go. Lucky with full boost in the tank, trying to get it over Yuxi. Does manage to do so. Volt goes in for the challenge though. Ampus does collect it, gets it past Rooster. Rooster just, it looked like he was going to make it there in time, but great read from Ampus on this one. Nice catch as well. Sent it into that left corner of the net. Another goal for TSM.
And so unusual to be seeing like Rooster get outpaced this frequently, but that's just a testament to how dangerous TSM is as a team. And you've got 3 of the fastest players in the region on this side. Amphis in particular, I'm really happy to be seeing Amphis step up and perform right now. Kind of what I was hoping to see from this player. Now I want to see that more so as the tournament progresses, but that's going to be a hat trick in a game 4 to progress to a quarterfinals. Amphis just looking so strong.
Absolutely great read. That is incredible. That is cool, calm, and collected control from Amphis. Hits the roof, drops down, doesn't boost too far away, is able to get that follow up very, very cleanly. We're seeing some great shots out of TSM and some maybe shots that have come out of mistakes as well. Big Rooster with that EU off that sidewall. Super Lucky lurking there with the follow up, and TSM, they're off to a massive lead.
I'm glad the Black TSM goal explosion is Yummy's favorite, because I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of it throughout this event. Especially, I think we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of it even this series, the way how things are going, fishing for wins. Unfortunately, it looks like they may have checked out of this match. 5 goals in a minute and a half. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying it's incredibly unlikely as another one goes through, but this time in fishing for wins' favor.
I've seen it happen, but it would take a little bit of a miracle right now for I'm Fishing for Wins to come back in this game, let alone this series. Would need a reverse sweep. It was a nice little goal there for Big Rooster. It makes the deficit a little less, but at the moment TSM just don't look like they're going to win it.
We'll see what they can find. Pressure off the backboard. Here comes Super Lucky. See if he can get some distance on it. Challenge from Rooster just falls short. Vault still is able to find the touch, and Vault will continue to play through that corner as well. Here comes Rooster. Backboard double touch. No, it's just a shot in. Morgie. That's 2 goals in less than 30 seconds. This pace, they catch him.
I know, maybe I'm starting to think now, maybe we've spoken too soon. It's not impossible. 3 goals in a minute 5 seconds. What's that? 20, just shy of 22 seconds per goal. It's doable, but that would mean tying this game up. That would mean going to OT and facing a very, very dangerous TSM. So still a lot to go in this one for me.
I think TSM just needs to remind themselves that the game's not done yet. Work's still not finished. We'll see how they go. Time whittling away, fishing for wins. Some signs of life late. Don't know if it's going to be enough. Super Lucky does well enough to keep away from Rooster, and Kaka thought they had a net, not able to find it. Now back up the other way. Volt doesn't even get a chance. And as we hit the final half minute, I think enough time was eaten off the clock.
I think this might be it for I'm Fishing for Wins in this series. But again, Bournemouth just really, really difficult opponent they've come up against in this lower bracket. Some would say an opponent that shouldn't necessarily be here. Obviously, it does come down to seeding and teams played. But TSM are one of our stronger teams in the region on paper, and they have shown this here today in a very dominant fashion. They wanted the sweep. They're going to get it. I'm Fishing for Wins have done well, but not enough to challenge TSM here today.
Yeah, TSM, it was a slow start, but a strong finish. Minus a couple, freebies at the end. I'm sure that's what they're going to call it. And in reality, I do feel that Fishing for Wins, as soon as the pressure maybe was lifted, they performed a little bit better. Either way, good win for TSM, Yummy. And now the question, it kind of does go back to you. Are they still a contender? Is it a clean sweep? Well, not a clean sweep, but a sweep. Are you still happy with them?
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic showing against a team that, as you said, could have done well given their win over Fine in the West. But I'll tell you what, the first 2 games, I was like, oh, hang on, because the first goal's going the way I thought. There was comfortability there. Every single time, though, TSM gets to a last minute, they're able to score a flurry of goals. They've shown their offensive pizzazz. That's what I think is the most exciting part if you're a TSM fan, is that it feels like a team that are able to win or get a lot of goals at once, maybe win out of nowhere, something that a lot of teams struggled with in the last split, where everything sort of was a low-scoring affair for half of the split.
I'm definitely excited for that for them. I'm curious if it comes as easy against like the other top two teams. Fortunately for them, in their side of the bracket, they won't run into one of them into the semifinals, which will still keep them in contention, assuming they win their next match. But from what I've seen and considering who they're likely going to be against, if I'm a TSM fan, I'm feeling pretty confident semifinals at minimum.
Yeah, they're just looking really good at the moment, and like you guys have touched on as well, I'm fishing for wins. They've done some damage so far this Open, and particularly against the other teams. So I think that there is some potential there, and they had some moments where they were shining. UXE in particular, that first goal to start the series in that first game was incredible, but it's just not enough consistency, and TSM have proven time and time again that they are a well-oiled roster.
Now, we do have a bit of a production problem here in that we found out that Formal was actually correct with a prediction. So we're going to have to figure out what's going on, what's broken. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to go to the upper bracket and the absolute banger matches, Healthy Chiefs versus Wildcard, and terrible predictions back once again from Formal after this break.
Welcome back, everyone. We are halfway through our first Saturday of this Raleigh Major Open 1. We have had 2 sweeps to begin tonight. Formal, exactly as predicted.
Yeah, I mean, kind of feel it was going to go that way when you have, 2 of the 5 contenders up against maybe teams on the outside looking in. But Yummy, if this next series is a sweep, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Very disappointed, very surprising as well. These are the grand finalists and our 2 major teams out of the last split, the last event of the last split. And Chiefs are the ones on the rise. The potential game plan or play style that we saw coming out from them, especially in the semi-finals, gave a lot of hope as them as a roster. And we'll just ignore what happened to them at the actual Birmingham Major itself.
I mean, looking at... sorry, Cornwall.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to, going back to that major. I mean...
I said ignoring it, but sure.
Well, they did better against Luminosity than Wildcard did, and I'm looking at this upcoming matchup, and Wildcard was the team that had issues in the Swiss stage, so even though they maybe finished worse than Wildcard, maybe they have more momentum? Maybe?
Potentially.
I don't quite know about that. I mean, Wildcard also did well against Carmine Corp. That's got to count for something. So it will be interesting to see. We saw really good team-oriented gameplay coming out from Chiefs at the end. We saw some really fantastic passing from them at the beginning of the split. Raziers, of course, picked up all the OCE habits of own goals and whatnot at the beginning, but he started becoming a powerhouse over on the Chiefs. But it's just hard when you're up against Wildcard, who are just the perennial winners. They've lost 1 event out of the last 9.
Yep, definitely a time and tested team at the moment. Wildcard have been, like you said, they lost 1 Open to Scrims World, so it's not a huge deal. It's not a huge dent in their armor. Chiefs have been on their heels for a lot of it as well, though. Kind of looking at the matchups they've had last split, I believe off the top of my head, Chiefs only took down Wildcard once out of maybe the 4 times they came up against each other. I think from the top of my head, am I wrong?
No, I don't even think they did that. Actually, it was always Laxon. It was always Laxon and Scrims, I'm pretty sure, who was taking them down. So unless the Chiefs are picking up Laxon, maybe you could make that argument that, hey, that it's a very Wildcard favorite series.
I think it was in Open 3, the group stage, they took down
Wildcard.
the
one I wasn't there.
The one?
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to make an excuse then for myself. I was dealing with some medical issues. I had a tooth that had broken in half, so everything about that weekend's kind of blurry for me.
Okay, I guess. You go.
I will say, let's move on from that and talk a little bit about the bracket for these 2 teams. I think a lot of the times you'd be like, oh man, we have to play each other in the upper bracket, but this at least guarantees that they're not going to be versing each other in the lower bracket. They will go to opposite sides. Losers will have to verse the likes of Fine in the West and the winner of the other upper bracket match, potentially, and the winners will obviously get that other side of the bracket that has TSM. So I'm not sure which one you'd prefer, but for these teams who both want to make grand finals, it's probably the best for them.
I think you prefer to go on the TSM side of things because even though both of these squads would be favorites in those matchups on the lower side of the bracket, it's still more hurdles that are perceptively more difficult. You said before if you get a 7-8, you're probably out. I would go further and say a 5th, 6th, and you're probably not making it to the major with how close these top 5 teams could be.
The only difference is that maybe one of these teams would be both of these teams a potential chance of winning events which can make up those points. Morgie, who have you got?
I have to go Wildcard on this one, I think. I think it's going to be a good series. I don't think we're going to see a sweep. I'll put it that way, but I think I have to give it to Wildcard. Maybe 4-2.
The safe pick indeed. You're not so happy with that, Formal, as we head into game number 1, Chiefs versus Wildcard.
Look, you promised out there predictions. I had this one down from the start of the day, though. I was leaning on the Chiefs to take this, so I want that to be known now before we really, truly get underway. I'm assuming you're on the wild card train, though?
No, somehow I still have power winning this one, but no, I think I still have to go wild card until proven otherwise. I went against them once and against my better judgment and ended up being completely wrong. So I got to trust in them. The one thing I will say is I do feel like wildcard always seem to get better as an event goes on. And so maybe this is that chance really for Chiefs to get that big win.
I mean, it would be a huge one again. It just, that's maybe that slightly easier bracket, not to discount TSM, but it's kind of one scary team versus two scary teams and a potential to miss out on the semifinals if you lose this series. So quite a bit at stake, not to mention with TSM kind of being that third team, a chance to maybe put them down as well, something both these teams would like. As it stands, opening minute of play, a bit back and forth. A lot of midfield challenges, no real threatening touches just yet.
Now, I haven't seen a lot of aggression as well from Wildcard, and maybe that'll be something that we build up, or maybe they look to change their play style entirely, because one of the, they've always been really successful at those international events, making it to round 5, maybe feeling like they could have won a series, one of the series that they lost and could have made it. And this is the first time they've had a potential harsh defeat internationally and a chance to really open their eyes on what could have been the problem. Wow, it's definitely not Torsos as he brings out the anime display right in front of everybody's eyes with the double tap.
Oh, beautiful goal from Torsos, who, again, this is a little bit unfair, Yummy, but I feel like after every single major as well, Torsos maybe gets a little bit too much criticism just because he's been around for so long and they haven't gotten that, top 8. But to come out with a big goal like that on the first game, back on the Rocket League OCE stream, by the way, just a shout out to that, that's a good statement.
Anyone notice how, Torsos loses to an APAC team? And then all of a sudden brings out the anime avatar goal explosion. Maybe using the power of anime on his side. Banana Head, a second goal. And this is another one set up by Torsos, getting that little extra touch of double 50 from Banana Head. I thought Torsos might have been able to steal it in the end too.
Yeah, it looked like he could have possibly been looking for it. However, another great play. Torsos doing a majority of the work to set that one up. Really good stuff from the vet. But now Fiber, with a chance to respond, doesn't get the pinch down. Fever knows what's coming whenever Fiber's going for a goal like that.
And Torsos going for another one. He's taking it all the way to the roof. Got the flip. Fiber hanging on the backboard, but they're still in trouble. A little bit of surprise there that Torsos didn't stay in the net for the demos. Very different to what we've seen from the wildcard roster in the past. The aggression, the willing to hang forward. And just stay a little bit more rotational and maybe happy to hold on to a 2-goal lead.
We'll see if they're able to keep on with it. Fiber now actually sets up a good play from the midfield. Fire's been going for a lot of these solo plays. Keeps running into Fever, though, each time. And the follow from the Chiefs, not there yet. Torsos plays keep away. Caught again by Fiber. Lob shot, Fever, easy clear.
Pop up in the center. Hunter with an absolute diabolical preset. What has he done? Press random on that? Oh
yeah,
my
I don't
goodness.
know.
How has he managed this? It is the octopus car, I guess.
I tried to avoid it because I know you don't normally like talking car decals, but yeah, this one.
Well, Crate brought it up in chat. I had to have a go look. And I completely understand. Hopefully we get to see another look at it on the stream because that is a thing of beauty. Hasn't really helped him out in the gameplay though, just yet. 1 minute remaining. Opening here, Fiber running up with Braziers had 0 boost. If he'd left that, Fiber would have been able to catch up and use the boost in the tank. A little bit of a miscommunication.
A little bit awkward, but still Fiber looks to make up for it as they will get the goal. 47 seconds remaining. The healthy Chiefs still in this.
That is pure speed from Fiber. Fever a little caught out, which is a bit surprising. He's often seeing the play come into the defensive half But before it counts, I just saw the preset once again from Hunter. It's distracting, maybe. That's the strategy coming out from him.
I think it's a statement. Get the Chiefs a skin. It's set up. No goal.
It's almost a tiebreaker situation for the Chiefs, but now with the run of play going to wildcard, that's a great 50 from Banana Head in order to just use some extra time and boosts from the healthy Chiefs. Torsos going high once again. Torsos involved in the third goal.
I want another look at what happened to the defenders on this one right there. It looked like near mid-air collision. Both of them kind of pulled off the play as a result. That should do it for game number 1. Great performance from Wildcard. Great performance from Torsos in particular. And it's going to be a game 1 victory.
And Torsos has a lot of critics, including himself. And maybe answering a few of them right here. Banana Head with the kickoff goal. There's a little bit of pinball bouncing off that kickoff. It came off 3 different members.
That was a little bit chaotic, but if we weren't sure before, we're definitely going to be sure now. The victory will be going to the wildcard side. A little bit of a fun fact for the wildcard fans as well. This is going to be the first game loss for the Chiefs in this event.
Yeah, I mean, didn't even think about that one. They've had a good event so far, but of course when you go up against the Titans, it changes the odds against your favor. Doesn't get much better than that, and we will say lovely own goal from Banana Head.
Yeah, you know, you got to sneak one in there. It doesn't matter the series. Doesn't matter if it's the 2 best teams in the state of the game. Always got to sneak one of those own goals through. At the timer will tick down for 0. Ball hits the ground. Wild card had that one for about the final 30 seconds or so, but we can now make it official and momentum in their favor. Torsos leading the charge.
Dire signs, I'd say, for the Chiefs. I did say that wildcard can often have a slow start. Certainly figured that one out. And more notably, playing a less aggressive, more rotational play style. No longer seeing Banana Head kind of up for every ball. Torsos getting more involved overall and less focus on, you know, just constant attack and demos. And I'm not sure, formal, since we've only seen one game, whether that is just because they got the early lead or if they have changed it up in this offseason.
Also wonder if this is something that they're pulling out just against the Chiefs as well, where they mix up their status quo against a team that they could perceive as one of their larger threats as a means to maybe throw off what could have been the Chiefs' strategy in this one. I don't know. I really like it because it's one of the few games, especially as you've mentioned in game 1, where Wildcard has felt in complete control from the word go, because when they play super fast, super loose, yes, you're right. Sometimes the early games would get away from them before they found their groove. But if they're able to slow it down and now accelerate throughout the series so they ease into their more dominant play style, that could be a very dangerous sort of game plan moving ahead.
There's always an interesting relationship between these top teams in OCE. They scrim each other all the time. They know the ins and outs of each other. They know their kickoffs, and hard to keep secrets, hard to keep strategies in the book. And I talked about not really going for bumps and demos. Fever went for the full route of that back half, chasing demos. Probably the biggest surprise, and maybe it was just something they forgot about in game 1.
I mean, look how far forward they've been playing since the word go on this one. It's, yeah, start up the engines game 1, and now they're fully running and just trying to be as disruptive as possible. Much more the wild card roster we're used to seeing. Now with our reset, Fever doesn't get it around Hunter, who finds the second touch.
Banana Head went for the bump play right in front of the net too. Also went to steal the boost. So a double situation of committing to staying in the attack. You can see the aggression now coming out from Wildcard. Maybe the first game was just a warm-up game, and that's why we didn't quite see it, as it's been full force so far in game 2.
What I've been super impressed with too is just the boost stealing. Every time I'm looking at those Chiefs sides, I'm just seeing empty blue circles, and yet they nearly make it work. Torsos will get the save on that opposite side. Granted, it's just another symptom of that wild card style. Even Banana Head stealing the boost right there from his ears to get the touch. Hunter has to challenge on next to nothing. It's such an impressive style from wild card. Yet the Chiefs are doing a good job in holding on.
Just going back as well to Hunter's preset, he also has the most atrocious boost sound in the world. So he's really, I think it's purposefully bad. It's not just a pure random thing. And don't know. Guys,
I
get the Chiefs some decals. Get
Yes.
them their own boost sound as well, just to fix Hunter's car.
That's what I was saying. I think this is a protest of get the Chiefs a skin, or else we're going to put out the biggest eyesore possible until it happens. I kind of like it. I kind of like that style of protest. Now we need to see the others follow suit.
Yeah, meanwhile, Fiber's running stock as tossable. And Fiber, speaking of, maybe you don't need fancy schmancy decals and octopuses on left, right, and center, because look at this angle. Oh my goodness, crossbar and in.
That was another insane Fiber goal, who, to this player's credit, it feels like each year has been getting stronger and stronger. We've been seeing more and more of those at that consistent level. Definitely an argument is going to be made, I think, at the end of the season. Is Fiber like the new best player? Granted, Chiefs have to win a couple of regionals, I think, for any weight behind that argument, but a win against Wildcard here could do wonders. Here we go. Shots on target. No, Hunter pushes it high.
I'm giving you guys an insight into Formal's mind right now, because he's predicting that Chiefs go out as first seed to the Raleigh Major. So he's trying to set it all up. See, I told you Fiber's the best player. See, I told you Chiefs are the best. So make sure to hold him incredibly accountable if they do not come out as number 1 seed.
I'll cop that if they don't, but at the moment, I mean, competitive game number 2. Wild card, though, I mean, they always can find a flurry of goals similar to what TSM did last time, so you cannot count this squad out.
Oh.
Although, when Banana Head misses, it becomes a lot more difficult. Razier's with the goal.
That's maybe the problem of going to that aggressive mindset. Banana Head off his line by a good mile, not able to make that backwards aerial work. And a second goal for the Chiefs. We knew this would be a back and forth series.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are the 2 top teams right now in our region for a reason. They are the 2 that always do seem to go toe-to-toe with each other, and have been for a little while now, as we do see Torsos not able to get around Hunter, who steals it away. Going to lead the charge back up to the other side. A third goal might put this one away, and Banana Head nearly puts it in his own net again.
It ended up somehow being the perfect touch. That one less so. Oh my goodness. Banana Head himself caught out by his own teammates' touch. Is that a pinch towards net? He comes off the crossbar, off the backboard, the double ding! Oh, that is the worst sound in Rocket League, apart from Hunter's car.
Nobody likes cowbell. Nobody likes cowbell in Rocket League. We don't need any more, but yet still Fiber going to try to put this one away, or maybe it's going to be Razier's crosses up the defense. It is a 3-0 lead.
They've gotten rid of the OCE curse. Open net hit by Razier's. Somewhat clopen with Banana Head being on that backboard, but made it simple, made it easy. Mistakes coming out from wild card in defense. Not something we are used to saying.
No, it's pretty good, though, for the healthy Chiefs to bounce this one back. 2 kind of one-sided games so far, although we're not done yet. Torsos gets it past 2 to get wildcard on the board.
Love this from Banana Head. I didn't think he'd had his flip. I thought he used his jump off the roof. He actually just fell back onto the ball, had his extra flip, set it up for Torsos. Minute remaining. Maybe is a chance, especially with the kickoff strategies that come out here. Torsos has to get it across to Fever, who grabbed the boost, didn't get the touch, but did fake out the defender. Now Banana Head trying to take it wide of the net, but made it easy for the defense.
We are still going to see that big clear down to the other side. Time whittling away. Here comes Banana Head. Wants to get something crazy set up for Fever. Fiber reads it, but Banana Head stayed forward, stayed underneath. Now with no boots, can't get the touch they wanted. And Zeros wins the 50. Torsos still finds a way to keep pressure on it. A demo should open it up for a Chiefs clear, but instead, it's still wild card. They're so fast, they're getting in their own way now, Yummy.
Yeah, and Fever didn't quite have the boost as well. I thought originally that was going to be the goal. That's why I gave out the most manliest squeal of all time. 2 goals remaining, 15 seconds. Looks like Chiefs have held on well to their 2-goal lead. Just need to hold out maybe for that last little bit more. That's going to be it. A tied up series and a good comeback from the Chiefs, who looked a little out of sorts in game 1.
Yeah, big win for the Chiefs, though, to bounce it back. And I can't take that car seriously. I just noticed the wheels. MVP for Hunter.
Yeah, he's
right
MVP,
there.
mate. It works.
You know what the engine sound reminded me of? Remember Kenny Salmon's engine sound?
Yeah.
From way back when?
Did he use the cat?
Yeah, it was the screaming cat.
Yeah.
Again,
We also had Scarth, I think, would bring out the helicopter every now and again. Yeah, there's been some atrocious human beings, at least atrocious cars in OCE history, and I'll tell you what, at least Hunter's making a bit of a name for himself. And I'll also tell you what, because I'm in the lobby, he is not changing the car. Unless he's changed preset inside the game, he is sticking with what has got him the MVP. Didn't get any goals, 3 saves, but still enough to get the top of the points.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a good little turnaround for the Chiefs, and Hunter kind of playing that unleashed Hunter style to kind of put themselves in that position where, you know, you kind of let Hunter go, cause chaos, get good touches, and then try to follow it up, which Raziers was doing a fantastic job with in that second game. But now, pivotal point, game 3, tied series, Yummy. Is the pendulum truly swinging? Do we see Wildcard have the wherewithal to maybe slow it back down and go back to that slower rotational play that got them game 1?
It's very interesting to see how they were successful in game 1 and then all of a sudden just changed up. And I'll be honest, I'm expecting them to stay aggressive. I know them just maybe a little bit too well. I know Torsos maybe a little bit too well. They'll have the trust in their game plan, in their play style, that it'll work, and that the last game was just an off game for them. So probably just stay the course, but try and tighten up. It's if things go poorly once again that I think that they'll make a change.
Well, we'll see. I mean, at the moment, looks like they're trying to create something good for them right now, especially with that demo. Fever has a lot of time to work with this. Not quite enough, though. Razier still able to get the save. Now Torsos tries to get something more centered. Hunter gets their first deep clear, and had that been on target, that could have been a threat for a goal. Still might be. Fever will keep it safe.
I do not like when Director Cam goes over to Hunter while he's boosting around, but thankfully Director Cam does change very rapidly, as all going back and forth in the 2 halves so far. Very direct play coming out from Wildcard. Raziers doesn't get the second touch. It's awkward. Hunter has to get saved out from Fiber. Now a little bit of trouble in terms of the boost department, but does not matter. And Raziers, despite his teammate being low, ran up the pitch, trusted him to get the clear, and helped them turn it into an opportunity of their own for the Chiefs.
Oh, another close shot from Raziers right there as well. Thought that one was going to sneak in. The Chiefs, they're very decisive with some of these midfield plays right now, midfield strikes, and that's what you have to be against a team like Wildcard, because you know Wildcard's going to bring the confidence. You need to match it, and to the Chiefs' credit, they have been doing so. Definitely in game 2, so far here in game 3, still tied 0-all, but it's really good to see both these teams not playing afraid of each other and still playing with that confidence that, yes, we can be that best team. Demo, bump, someone had to take the shot, it just wasn't there.
Not too many players running around the ball, waiting to try and create some space for his teammates behind. And nobody actually there to finish off that shot either. Hunter actually has managed to evade Fever. He was really focusing on getting that 100 boost, and maybe rightfully so, given how much he's done down the side there. Torsos has the support in the center field, but instead goes to the bump. A little bit of an awkward recovery from Torsos that may lead him to be slow back, but it's actually there ready to intercept the play. Hunter can't get the clear past Banana Head. Too much oomph on that first touch. So it's a great 50 from Fiber that actually creates an opening. You can see how aggressive Wildcard were being. As soon as one challenge, one good 50 occurs, they're all caught a little bit on the back foot.
But at the same time, as Banana Head nearly was able to pancake it in, they're getting enough out of the Chiefs that even though these openings are there, they're still not quite fast enough to be able to capitalize. They're always very tough angles, very tough recoveries. So definitely playing on the cliff's edge, both these teams in a lot of way. Why we're still 0-0 with 2 minutes remaining in this game. This is honestly some of the best kind of Rocket League you can get right now. A bit of a chess match, an aggressive one, and yet the score's still 0-all.
And 50s are starting to become vital. Whoever can win that low 50 game, or even the high 50s that are starting to become more common between these two, that's a fortunate bounce. And a great shot, Banana Head, reaction time, as you'd expect from a young gun like him. Able to keep it tied.
That's why so many people consider Banana Head the best in the region. It's not just his dynamic attacks, his defense as well. Shot off the post, Hunter slows it down. It's set up for Fiverr, and in it goes. Healthy Chiefs with a late lead.
And Fiverr slowing down that shot, seeing Torsos coming in full boost. Torsos dives across, has to avoid the bump. Brilliant play, team play and solo play coming out from Chiefs to get themselves the lead in game 2.
Yeah, all three players playing their role, even with zeros with the demo, and then the bump pressure forcing Torsos to pre-jump. Fiverr reading it, as you mentioned, slowing it down. Good stuff, but all you need is one good touch the other way, but instead it's actually going to the orange goal, 2-goal lead.
It's working all for the Chiefs now. Don't know if this demo playstyle is working out from Wildcard. It feels like the Chiefs have got so much trust in each other forward. They're reading the play quite well. The demos have not been effective for Wildcard, so they're going to have to switch it up in the next game if they can't get a couple of quick goals now.
We'll see what they can bring as we go through the corner. Not too much to be found after that first touch. Torsos now back towards the middle. Here comes Fever, pinch! Saved by Hunter again.
Great team play in terms of one cover left, one cover right there from the Chiefs players. It's kept them with the 2-goal lead on what would have maybe been, almost definitely been a concession against many other teams here in the region. Banana Head trying to get that 1 goal, only 37 seconds left. And it's just seeming impossible to break through the defense of the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're trying to find those ways through. Here comes Hunter, though. A little musty, but not enough to go all the way. 20 seconds left. It is looking like the Chiefs are going to have to take their second game in a row. And Wildcard right now, I mean, even in a close series like this, I wouldn't expect them to get shut out. You know, I mean, maybe they'll find something in the final 10 seconds, but this is getting a little spooky.
Well, haven't seen this before with the Chiefs getting ahead of Wildcard, as simple as you say. Chiefs 2-0 up, but most importantly, Wildcard looking out of their element while they're playing their aggressive game. And we spoke about it, Formal, at the beginning of the game. Can they get back to game 1 where they played just a more rotational style? They have to at this point in time. It's not working for them.
Yeah, again, I would like to see the timeout come through now from the wildcard side. Sort of that regroup, refocus. Haven't seen the call for it yet, though, and I'm a little bit worried that they're going to try to run it back again, and they might continue that aggressive style, and then Chiefs seem to have that figured out.
I don't know. I am worried that we'll still see the aggression coming out from them. If they do, I feel like maybe go even further beyond, just once again go for that Banana Head always up for the ball every single time, and make it not just about aggression and demos, but more focus on the speed that they're able to bring out when they are aggressive. That rushing factor that a lot of teams aren't able to keep up with. But again, I would much prefer them to go to the way they played game 1.
I mean, there's multiple options. We'll see which way they go. I mean, off the kickoff, you already see Fever challenging without boost. Banana Head now burning everything to go back to the safety of their own backboard, but you know the Chiefs are going to be there. Good first touch from Torsos, can't get past Hunter. Fever tries to keep it away, but Fiverr's in their face, and it's actually the Chiefs who are coming out swinging early, and this one, Banana Head might find a gap up high with the reset, with the bump. No, Hunter takes it away.
It's been defensive powerhouse in the last couple of games for the Chiefs. They've been able to rely on the counterattacks at the same time. Fiverr especially has been a powerhouse in terms of creating goals, creating moments for that Chiefs roster. If they can get into that 3-1 position and almost certainly secure the series from there. They keep challenging well, they keep getting good 50s, they keep avoiding the bumps so far.
Yeah, they have been doing very good, and it's something that carried over from the last game as well. One of the things that the Chiefs did was avoid the bumps demos frequently on 0 boost as well, because, I mean, Wildcard, similar to this game as well, it always feels like they've got something in the tank. They're always faster to those pads, but might not matter. Hunter shot a little bit high. Think was trying to fake Banana Head out, who saw it coming. Another shot this time from Fiber nearly goes through. Defense on the line, and again it's Fever this time with the save.
Long drawn out attack. Pistols are out for the Chiefs, and are they the quickest on the draw? It's Fiber again, left side of net. They are looking to go 3-1 up in the series.
What a decision to go for that pass as well. It kind of looked like on the setup, Fiber was surrounded by 1 or 2 defenders, but the threat of Revere's putting the shot on buys enough of a gap. Full confidence in the team, they'll find that. Fiber's going to put it on target. That was an amazing goal.
And this is what we saw, the signs in the semi-finals of the last event, last split, where we all of a sudden thought Chiefs might be that big dog in OCE. They weren't able to do it. They weren't able to bring that out against Wildcard, but they're doing it now. Hunter with the flip reset. May have hoped to get more vertical direction on that.
Yeah, still always a threat, however, and with a 1-goal lead. Reminder, Wildcard did get shut out last game. Fiber looking for a double, and that's good!
It's not good. That is perfection. A EU clear from Hunter. It doesn't get a better first touch from that. Fiber didn't even need to do any more other than rotate his car and put that second shot succinctly in the bottom of the net.
Fiber really coming alive in this series, exactly when the Chiefs would like to see it happen again. Winning this guarantees you that top 4 spot, avoids going up against Best of the West as well, and puts you on the half of the bracket with maybe less frightening teams. So even though it's not an elimination, it's still big, not to mention the confidence you get from possibly beating the #1 team. Torsos, though, will respond with a double of his own.
Very quick double. Banana Head beats out one, gets the extra touch. Raziers had to wait for it, which sets up Torsos in space. That is the speed that can come out from Wildcard when they're playing their best.
Yeah, that was very, very dangerous, and it's why you can never really count Wildcard out. Almost getting one off the kickoff as well. Banana Head finds Raziers, not the ball, and Fiber, that looks like an open net the other way. Yummy just needs to keep it straight, and it's a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, a little surprised by that over-aggression. There were still 2 minutes remaining of the game. Fever had ran forward for what looked to be a bump that he missed and ended up leaving him not in position to get back on that one. A 3-1 lead again for the Chiefs.
Yeah, all 3 goals scored by Fiber as well. Hat trick for the player in game number 4, and I mean, this is a big 2 minutes remaining. Wildcard, you feel like they need to win this game to keep their chances in this series. Banana Head will lead the charge. Again, high across the middle, finds Fever, who has boost, has space, but also has Hunter in his way.
Really nice soft touch from Fever, but it didn't look like he could catch up. That's a team bump after the demo. Mid-air, Banana Head had it, but obviously one thing leads to another. That's why the team bump did occur. Fever across to Torsos. That's the opportunity. Goes to the backboard play. And shut down very quickly from the healthy Chiefs. Raziers getting any touch he can just to be annoying, just to slow down this attack as they hold on to the 2-goal lead. And a clear will make it that much easier.
Lob shot nearly finds its way in. Still, good pass to Banana Head to get a powerful touchback to the blue side. Raziers avoids one, but lobs it up for Fever on a nice platter, looking to go all the way to Banana Head. Defense will intercept it away. We are seeing the slower, more passing approach right now coming from Wildcard. However, the Chiefs doing a good job at finding intercepts and finding disruptions, and now it's another open net.
Good pass play, but again, based off really solid 50 play coming out from Raziers. It's not often that you win a 50 that hard against Fever, but he faked him in. He showed his 1v1 class, Raziers, and forced that 50 against the wall. 4-1 lead. And I'll tell you what, not many teams have ever been able to take down Wildcard in the last 18 months. But no team has really been able to take them down this convincingly. They're about to be in a 3-1 situation up against the absolute kings of OCE.
I mean, that said, job's not done until you get that last game across, and you'd have to expect, A, we still have the timeout buff to come through, and Wildcard has one of the best timeout buffs in the region. And B, sometimes that last game is always the hardest against a team that gets better and better typically as the series progresses. So I'm not ready to crown the Chiefs champs just yet. Obviously, a lot of work still to be done. But if this form of play continues, it's looking very, very good for the healthy Chiefs.
It hasn't been as aggressive coming out from Wildcard. Maybe a couple of moments where they over-aggressed, but I think at the moment they're not quite sure exactly what their playstyle should be. They've railed it in, and it hasn't been enough. The Chiefs go to match point against Wildcard.
Oh boy. And what is Wildcard going to bring in this situation right now? Back against the wall again. It's a non-elimination series, so they still have that in their back pocket, but the timeout obviously getting used to the situation by the Wildcard side. They're going to be looking to regroup and reform, and I mean, even if Wildcard does drop this series, Yummy, you'd still almost have them as favorites to go through that lower bracket in the finals, no?
Yeah, I mean, you just can never doubt them. They've got just so much history and pedigree in OCE, not just as a team themselves, but also the players of Torsos and Fever, who have been to so many international events, Banana Head, who's become a perennial of OCE in more recent times. You can never count them out, and you can never know what the difference between one day and the next can be in Rocket League. But they're not going to be thinking about tomorrow. They're going to be thinking how to win this game. That timeout buff, as you said, has been really strong for Wildcard in the past. And I think a large part of that goes to their coach, Jimmer, who's very good at least just picking up a couple of things that they can change as they head to the rest of the series.
Finally get to see map 5 as well and where we're heading next, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I do have to agree. It's just very difficult, even in this situation, as I was saying at the end of the last game, to kind of count them out entirely. But at that same token, I mean, Fiber mechanically playing insane. Razir's 50 game, it feels like he's winning every single one. And even though Hunter might not have been, not saying his name quite as much, the potential is always there with a player like Hunter, with just how sort of A, erratic, and B, impactful they can be if left unchecked. It's a lot of work to be done for the Wildcard side, and they well and truly feel like the underdog, even with the timeout buff going into game 5.
I mean, that has been the big important point for Chiefs to make the last major, was the evolution of Hunter to be a less solo player, a less greedy player, a better team player, more rotational, and he's fit a lot well in a team here with the Chiefs. Fiber getting to show off his star quality has been strong. Raziers, as you said, bringing out the 50 game. It is a tough cookie to crack. Will that timeout buff work here for the Wildcard roster? It's already looking like a potential goal here, as Banana Head just needs to find the net, and he does with the support of both of his teammates.
What's kind of crazy is this felt so similar to the kickoff that we saw in the last game as well, with just Wildcard throwing everything at it, but this time they feel a little bit quicker, a little bit more confident in their touches, and the result is keeping the Chiefs defense on the back foot. 14 seconds in, and already Wildcard has the lead.
Most importantly, getting that early lead. It was what they did well in game 1 and then clamped down on it after that. And maybe that would be the difference for Wildcard, is just that first goal advantage. And that ability to play without needing to be as aggressive. How their state of mind is held here for the moment. Fiber is going to be looking to try and tie it up. Hunter turns it around, takes his time, and that's the right decision for sure. Fever, though, intercepts Fiber, has a touch into center, had the flip, but everybody knew and everybody put that respect on Fever's name.
One thing I'm noticing, though, already, Yubby, is that it doesn't look like Wildcard is slowing up and trying to play the rotational game right now. They definitely still are staying quite aggressive, so I mean, sticking with their bread and butter. Razir's reset, and we're tied.
It was a surprise reset for everyone but Raziers. It's incredibly hard to do. After challenging mid-air, winning the race to the roof, he's still able to see that he can get that reset. That is phenomenal.
And this is the Raziers that I think a lot of the healthy Chiefs fans were hoping to see last split, just winning 50s, showing that they have that mechanical prowess like some of the best here in this region. Raziers definitely stepping up against the Chiefs rival right now, and to equalize after such a hot start from the wildcard side, even footing, great response from the Chiefs.
It was what I was excited about, to have Raziers here in the region, is even just to provide one more player who, at least on paper, can make a fantastic play. That one's off the post. Everybody scrambling with no boost, thinking that originally it was going to go in. Chiefs upset that they don't get a goal from this one. And we do have a Rule 1, Raziers versus Torsos. It's a 2v2.
Yeah, they're respecting it. The two best teams in the region respecting the Rule 1 right now. Again, this is match point as well for the Chiefs, so pretty crazy to see. 2v2, Banana Head Fever versus Hunter Fiber for the lead.
For the lead, for potentially the entire game if it moves on for quite a while here. Raziers has been playing fantastically in the last couple of games, and maybe that's to Wildcard's advantage to take him out. Maybe they think that Fever and Banana Head are the twos master here. Either way, it gets broken. I think who broke that?
Raziers. That was 100% Raziers. He tried to break it for the goal, but the defense made the save.
Oh my goodness, what has he done? This could be the reverse, or at least the mild reverse sweep, the 3-1 comeback from Wildcard based on that one position. The one little bit of BM coming out from Raziers, breaking it. Oh my goodness.
Who could have seen the Raziers heel turn in this one? Still puts the shot on. Banana Head diving save, but Raziers stays on the play. Torsos challenge gets the demo. Doesn't get the shot, Fiber at least, and now Fever tries to bring it back the other way.
I'm devastated. After talking about Raziers, after just having so much faith in them in this series alone, he's already betrayed my trust. I'm too easy to trust, Formal.
Sold his soul to the Rock, became a Paul Heyman guy, whatever you want to say. Banana Head's gonna score. It's now a 2-1 lead.
Instant karma. Banana Head working off Torsos. And you know what? It was Raziers who missed it as well. Oh my goodness. What have you done? If you were still in the Rule 1, Torsos isn't there.
Oh, that's a crazy goal. And I mean, hey, winning this game with the timeout buff, it could be the momentum swing Wildcard needs. Off the backboard, Fiber can't get the dunk.
It's a 2-1 lead for Wildcard. Once again, they've not been in this leading position very often throughout this series. Are they going to be able to hold on? It looks like they're maybe even pushing for more. Some open space as Torsos goes straight for the backboard. Hunter is up for it, has the boost as well to be able to maybe make a play. Fiber, can he catch up to this ball? Not before Banana Head gets somewhat of a touch on it. Hunter back in the center, has the support. Raziers goes to the shot, and it's off the corner.
Oh, it was such a great setup from both Fiber and Hunter. They did everything they had to put Raziers in that position. Doesn't come through now. 20 seconds remaining. Chiefs, they're not going to even get a chance as Fever ices Game 5.
I'm going to point it out once again. It is over the top of Raziers that this goal happens. Oh no, it's over the top of Fiber. Oh my goodness, I'm wrong. 3-1 though for Wildcard. Chiefs still going to be on match point after this game, but the timeout buff for Wildcard has been one of the most inevitable facts. I think for a lot of teams, you'd say, well, they're just too good, that's why the timeout buff works. But in this case, it's up against the Chiefs. It's worked brilliantly. You got to give some credit as well to their coach, Jimmer, and Torsos has secured it with a 4-1 turnaround.
Yeah, crazy though. What happened after you break that Rule 1? That plus timeout buff, unbeatable. Still, 2 more chances for the Chiefs to put this away. Momentum, though, does feel back on the wildcard side. And now we have to ask the question, all right, Chiefs and their timeout buff, do you wait till a potential Game 7 or do you use it now?
I think you still wait. I think Chiefs will be confident in their abilities. And I will say, it's not necessarily bad karma that the later goals, but I will say that if Raziers had stayed in that Rule 1, that game may have gone a lot longer. That play before that next goal, it may have just ended up being a 2-1 for healthy Chiefs. And that's all the karma you can get. You always know that when you do something a little bit silly that you're going to go back and potentially regret it. 4-1, a game number 6 situation here. Wildcards still need to win 2 more in a row, but that was convincing.
Yeah, that was a very convincing one for them. The most convincing so far. And as we are getting ready to gear up for this next game, off to Neo Tokyo, the Class Game 6 map. Pressure back on the Chiefs, see how they respond, get the goofiness of the end of Game 5 out of their mind, you'd have to imagine. I'm still trying to recover from that heel turn, man. Chiefs are, team streaming. They're
well, who did the better one? Who did the better, Raziers or Cena? Tell me.
Oh, they're equal right now. They're equal in heartbreak.
And after, you know what, he lulled us into a false sense of security, Raziers, after all the own goals, after everything he did to prove how OCE he was last season, prove how based he was, and now all of a sudden this. But I'll tell you what, just because you're the heel doesn't mean you can't win. We go to a game 6 after a little bit of an extra long pause. Thank you guys for waiting along for that one. Maybe that'll advantage Chiefs. You may have need a little extra time.
We'll see. One thing that has been consistent in this series has been the importance of the first goal. First shot, second shot, posted twice, and Fiber is able to clear it to the corner.
Guess the karma doesn't last that long. Off the post, another ding for Banana Head. One more ding, but this time it goes in his favor. I think the save was there if the first shot was right on target. The fact that he could follow this up was perfect.
Yeah, desperation from Fiber, just couldn't get there in time. Too many shots on target too quickly from the wildcard team. 3 doinks is all it takes to get that early lead, and, well, Raziers is going to answer up the kickoff.
Very surprising. I'm not sure what happened with their third. Torsos turned upfield. Banana Head must have read a very different kickoff situation as he veered completely around the ball. So all their hard work goes to waste.
Well, fortunately, still early in this game. 4.5 minutes still to go. 1-all. Fever has a chance, especially with Hunter with no boost. Still, there was the right angle coming from... trying to make some sort of aqua-related pun. Doesn't matter. Banana Head crosses up the defense. 2-1 lead.
Great horizontal angle coming out from Torsos. It looks originally like he might be going towards the net. Fiber stuck on the backboard because of that. That makes him much more difficult to challenge out for such a good pass. Wildcard in the lead again, searching for this game 7.
And you have to admit, even almost as a result of the Chiefs' goal, but more so when you look at how Wildcard has scored, they are playing with all the confidence in the world right now, Yummy. This is the aggressive Wildcard that starts to succeed, going up for winning the 50s, constantly in the Chiefs' face, and they're converting it into points. Now we're seeing Panic's defense, potentially an open net, not quite. Torsos doesn't win the 50.
It feels a little bit more like that aggression that is leading to panic in the defense at times, especially from Banana Head going quickly up for the ball. And this one's completely open. It was a little too simple here for Wildcard.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the rotate back was. Awkward challenge from Hunter, and then it's just off to the races. Really well done for the Wildcard side. 2-goal lead this early in the game after what was a 3-goal victory ever since the Rule 1 was broken. And I'm not using this to harp on Raziers, but that's where it's felt like the momentum has shifted, and it hasn't come back yet for the Chiefs.
What are you thinking about your chances now? Or Chiefs' chances, I should say, but your predictions' chances.
To be ruined by a Rule 1 would be the most OCE thing ever.
Looking quite likely. That one's on target, but not with enough oomph to get past Banana Head, who gets a good 50 out of the defense. Raziers, what can he do? Well, he can't do anything because Fever just jumps up from in front to ensure that he doesn't get the follow-up touch. Very difficult to beat someone in the air who you cannot see coming out from behind.
I know it's always a challenge, and now on the attacking foot once more. I mean, Wildcard, they just continue to play forward, play that corner. This time, though, the ball gets around Banana Head. One Chiefs member misses. That was Razier's. And the 50s that were keeping the Chiefs in it before, they've just not been going their way. So many missed challenges, so many plays on low boost. The Chiefs really feel like they've fallen a step behind right now. And Wildcard, it's because of how aggressive and how fast they've been. It's been a symptom of Wildcard just upping their game.
Another play into center as Chiefs do try and bring this back. They've still got half a game to get these next 2 goals minimum. They haven't been able to find it just yet. That little source, that secret to get through the wildcard midfield and the challenges and the speed that is coming out from them there. What a passing play from the 3 of them. That's on target. Fiber somehow manages to get behind that. But the creativity coming out from Wildcard has been spectacular.
I didn't even see Fiber in that net before they moved out. I thought that was a goal of the night for sure, coming from the orange side. Still, as long as they're on the attack, as long as they're putting on those shots, Yummy, it does mean the Chiefs aren't able to do anything in their own favor. And with time working against them, this is looking very good for the wildcard side, although now they have to play defense. Razier's versus Fever. Fever lets it ride. Hunter, no boost. Can't get the touch. Fiber doesn't really have backup. Might have to give this one away. Nope, it's a low boost challenge from Razier's. Doesn't work out in their favor. Again, it is the wildcard with possession.
And we're just seeing all these little tiny mistakes coming out from the Chiefs. You know, a missed backflip flick, a missed challenge from Hunter on low boost, little kind of missed aerial, somehow getting beaten, and it's because they're trying to up the pace to match Wildcard here. That's why Wildcard has been such a dominant force in the region. They have been the team to dictate the pace of the game, to make it as fast as humanly possible. And right now, the Chiefs are stuck in their own half with low boost. Not many opportunities to score. It's got to be now.
It really does. Through the corner, it's a demo, actually. And again, we're seeing the Chiefs rotate back and just being bumped all the way back as well. No quarter being given at all. Fiber tries to go for the jump. Fever keeps it low. Hunter gets something going, but the faster team is once again Wildcard. Nearly a goal for Torsos. Instead, it's for Banana Head, and we're going to go to Champs Field.
Works out to be the perfect fake there as Banana Head gets it down to Torsos. He didn't have the boost to get the shot on, but Razier's did not know that. 4-1. Wildcard with 3-1. I thought they might have called the timeout too late, but it seems to have been perfect timing.
It really does. And now Chiefs will still have their timeout. We'll still have one more game, but the entire feel of this series has shifted so much in the past 2 games. Wildcard, you said at the start of the series, Yummy, they warm up into a series. They get stronger as we go, and now it feels like they're running at full speed. Chiefs have been struggling to keep up. One more goal might be nice for the team in blue, but realistically, it's time to get your mindset on that deciding Game 7.
Well, they do have a timeout. You wanted them to call it after the last game. They're going to have to rely on it in a Game 7. And I will say, Game 7 timeouts, I think they're pretty unreliable, because it then goes down to who just is the best under pressure, who can perform in a single best of 1. And at the moment, Wildcard don't just have the momentum, they're dominant.
Banana Head with all 4 goals as well, and something the drum I've beaten for a few years right now is like whenever a team is behind, it always feels like Banana Head, if they're on that roster, he's the one who will lead the charge to get them back in it. Obviously, I'm not saying everything was on Banana Head. In fact, 2 assists aside for Fever and Torsos, but it's such a consistent player on the back foot. Obviously, my pick for like the most clutch player in the region, and we're seeing it again.
Chiefs do call the timeout, so have to see what comes from this one. Does Hunter get more involved? He's been more of a foundational player here for the Chiefs so far. We haven't got to see, as you would call out, that Hunter factor that has been shown in the past. Fiber hasn't been able to maybe get as much room on the ball as he was in games 2 and 3, where he was an absolute powerhouse. They've got to figure something out, and they've got to figure it out now. So, Wildcard, I don't know. They're just such a beast. They're a team that have won 8 out of the last 9 regionals, trying to make it 10 in a row. Their dynasty already set, but it can grow from here.
Yeah, I mean, every win, every regional win is just another notch in this insane belt from this team. And I don't know, Chiefs do look like they're one of the best challengers to come up against them in a roster without Laxton on it. So we'll see if they're able to get it on chance field. But again, Yummy, the crazy thing is, even if the Chiefs win this series, this is only like the warm-up. This is still not elimination, and the expectation would be you'd have to do it again in a grand final.
Wow. Yeah, they haven't been able to do it yet. If you remember the grand final that we all thought maybe the Chiefs, who could bring out that game plan style that we saw in games 2 and 3, maybe that they could take down the wildcard team, and wildcard 4-0'd them. That is the power of wildcard. We head to a Game 7, Champions Field. It all comes down to this. Was it a Rule 1 that broke Healthy Chiefs, or is it wildcard just being too good? We find out if who wins on this one. Oh my goodness. Shot first blood for wildcard.
Every single kickoff from Wildcard has been so impressive to start off these past 3 games right now. Again, another one of those big, I would have to like attribute that to game planning and coaching and factors. Razier's bumped off the play. It's a 1v2 with Hunter doing what they can. Gets the first touch, but now has to rely on Fiber. He gets it away from one. No bump on Fever. Fiber has to dribble it instead. Can't stay on the play. Again, Chiefs, it feels like they're desperate, going for high-risk touches, whereas Wildcard, it's their pace, it's their speed that's keeping them threatening, at least in the early stages.
Fever didn't have the boost to follow up on that play. The first goal has been crucial, especially for Wildcard. When they've got that first goal, they have... I mean, everybody who's always got the first goal has won the game throughout this series at this point in time. As Torsos gets the bump. Almost the double bump that could have opened it up.
Hunter did a great job of avoiding Torsos there. That's not the Rule 1 you want from the Chiefs. They will break it up as 2 teammates get stuck on each other. Now here goes Banana Head, looking for the late reset. Patient defense from Fiber, but Banana Head stays sticky. Sets up a shot from Torsos. It's high. Follow-up touch again from Fever, and it's a defender that gets in the way.
Patience there from Raziers too. Doesn't panic out of the corner. Allows him to get the 100 boost and get in the play. Almost turned it into a goal of his own as the 50 goes the way of Wildcard. And we've said that 50s have been game-winning. What a read from Torsos down to Banana Head off the pinch.
Nobody was expecting Torsos off the roof right there. It was a great setup, and all 3 Chiefs members were looking to be moving up the field. Hunter was the one who was back, but yeah, not expecting that commitment out of Torsos. 1-0 lead, Wildcard back in front in this series. It's been a long time since then, and 3 minutes is a long time, Yummy, but Wildcard just, they don't slow down.
And most importantly, that goal was actually set up by the 50 from Torsos. The success there in that grindy game that is so underrated in the 3 space. Here's Torsos again with another chance. Shut down by Hunter. Banana Head has to avoid a bump in his own half, even though he was by himself. He still had to contend with the opponents. Raziers. Get this one around, doesn't have the boost. A couple of wall dashes over to Fiber. Raziers almost got the bump. You can see it's just a little matter of inches and avoiding bumps that are making all the difference for both teams.
Yeah, it's crazy how like both these teams are so aggressive right now, and their positioning is case in point Fiber, but still can't get it around Banana Head. That was a beautiful cut, and now Hunter gets in his own team's way, and that is the rogue-like nature of Hunter that can come back to bite you.
They're still going to have a chance here as Hunter runs back into it. It almost made up for it, but didn't quite get the touch that he wants. Hunter's still on there, gets the demo, it's open, doesn't get the power. Fiber just waited a little too long, maybe didn't get the contact he wanted, and that was the moment that Chiefs could have tied this up. They're going to go for round 2, but once again, Torsos, his challenges from the roof have worked out every single time.
A mix of that, Banana Head just rotating back and finding so many of these crazy defensive saves. It feels like the Chiefs are doing the right thing, but they're just a millisecond of a step behind in these crucial moments, and now a chance to possibly put this away. Ball still in a dangerous spot, and here comes Banana Head looking to end Fiber with a great save on the line. Fever's turn. Second touch goes straight to his ears.
Really a smart play from Banana Head there. The fact that he's pushing the bottom of his car towards the ball indicates he wants to go for the flip reset. He just used it for a straight shot and almost caught the defense off guard. That could have been the end of the game right there. It could also have been another one as 1 minute remains, and there's still a dearth of goals here for the Chiefs. They may have seen themselves in a 3-1 lead in a Rule 1 and a 2v2 they were in the advantage of. They break it, and now they're 45 seconds away from losing in Game 7.
This has been one of the craziest changes of momentum I have seen, Yummy, but it's not done yet. We're on the orange side of the pitch. The Chiefs are still trying to force these 50s, trying to set up reserves. Backboard, is there a shot? No, because Fever plays keep away.
A big miss there from Fiber. Raziers has to get back and maybe contend with some bumps of his own. This is the last chance, and Hunter gets bumped away from it. Fiber, can he win? No, he does get a 50 across, but there's no one there to follow up. Hunter down to his ears. Torsos shuts him down, and they've got complete control of this ball.
Yeah, it's going to take a miracle at this point. 3 seconds. Fiber has the first touch, but he's got to go the distance. Gets the bump. Is there anyone underneath? There is. Shot. Backboard. No. Fiber puts it high. Raziers, no boost in no man's land. Does what he can. It's not enough. Wild card completes the comeback.
The champions of OCE, the 8 out of 9 times winners, continue their domination after being 3-1 down. Wildcards are the kings for a reason. Now, I will say, that must have been so exciting that we've lost a member of our cast. Morgie had to run off because it was a best of 7, so it's just going to be the two of us for the rest of the show. But if I don't think it's going to go any better than that series right there.
No, look, we were expecting that one to deliver, Yummy, and deliver it did. Any series that goes to Champs Field is a banger. Any one that has such a crazy momentum shift and such a fun storyline as well. I mean, look, the Chiefs, I think they have proven that they still are the team closest to wildcard on that series, but it's not enough to be close. You still have to find ways to beat them. Maybe they'll get another chance, but now they're in a lower bracket quarterfinals where losing has major implications. They have to be perfect tomorrow.
They have to be able to take down all the challengers, and every single team in OCE are at least capable of stealing away a victory. But for more, I'm not a very superstitious person. You know me, I always say there's no such thing as a caster curse. Rule 1, sure, you can break it. But that Rule 1 break, it wasn't necessarily Karma that lost them. It was just a dumb decision in the end. They could, as I said, they could have been 2-1. They could have won it in that game. They've lost it after that. I hope Raziers never breaks a Rule 1 ever again.
I mean, again, I don't even think it's superstition on that one. I think you break that Rule 1, you realize what you've done in that situation. Maybe it plays on your mental a bit, and it's hard to bounce back because they lost decisively after that. And I think it was the decisive loss that really threw them out of whack, which was kind of a result of the Rule 1. So I'm not saying it's a superstition thing, but I do accredit that moment, or at least losing the game after that moment, to being the full pendulum shift back in Wildcard's favor.
Well, hopefully somebody in the chat, I know you guys have all been talking a lot about it, clip that moment, clip the end of the game, put that up on Reddit and social media, because that was a very memorable moment in OCE and what was meant to be a huge upset. But once again, for more, as we head to this break, Wildcard are on top. We have set one team into our semi-finals. Time to find the other. Power versus Prime Petty's Pups. Can you tell us a little bit more about that name, Formal?
I have no idea what it's a reference to or what's going on with that one, but what I can tell you is for a team that I have to admit maybe overlooked when I first saw that lineup to be in a position right now to secure a top 4, maybe we should be getting used to that name, because if they pull off a win here, we're going to be saying it a lot.
They managed to make it through the upper bracket. If you guys didn't know who Prime's Petty's Pups, or PPP, are, it is Bal, Misty, and Keckles. So Misty, he had a good run last split. They consistently top 6, but still did not get to stay with his roster, as per usual in OCE. I thought he was doing pretty well last split. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I thought Misty looked very, very good. And I mean, that play is obviously carried on to sort of this position right now to be playing to push through. Bal as well is another player that I think has a pretty strong reputation, had some trial runs with some pretty big teams in the offseason. Didn't really work out, but is now right back in a guaranteed top 6 in regional number 4. And Keckles is another one who every time I see them play, I'm more and more impressed with what they're able to do. So this is a very interesting team. However, I mean, Power with a little bit of a sub, Gus Caleb Lunar.
Who's this new player at OCE?
Well, it's just, look, Gus and Caleb, I remember them being like this. It is Caleb, realistically, and that's where Power's strength is coming from.
Are you sure it's not Cuss?
Cuss could work. I mean, we do enough of that in OCE already, though.
Yeah, well, Gus and Caleb are reunited onto this roster. Bit of a surprise to see Laxon dropped after they did manage to win a regional, but we have called out the fact that their consistency was not good enough. They had a 7th, 8th, they had a 5th, 6th. That's what stopped them from being in the major at the very end, despite being the only team outside of Wildcard to win an event. So we'll see what the difference is here. I think realistically, we're hoping for some consistency. I think realistically, Formal, if they lose to Prime Petty Pups, we know that they made a mistake.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it right there. But, I mean, if you go back to the start of the season, Caleb was coming in with all this hype because of their once performance. Gus was in a similar spot as well. And Lunar, I mean, made the decision to come back after retiring for the 18th time. So that was pretty cool as well. And now they're already down 1 goal after 6 seconds.
Yep, it's over. Bring back Laxon. You're done. Power. Drop the first goal. It's a really fantastic passing play between Bao and my boy Big Jez.
Yeah, that was a great start coming from the PPP side, Big Jez and Co. Misty, as they're also known. So a good start for them, obviously. First goal, still a lot to be played, but when you make a move like that, when you make that roster change, you have to justify it. And I find it interesting that, like, people are saying, "Oh, is this a downgrade?" When maybe at the start of the season, Gus was considered one of the prime players that people would want on their team, and Laxon maybe was sort of an unknown. So to see it now, because of the success they had, to say, "Oh, is this a side grade? Is this a downgrade?" I don't think that's fair on Gus.
Well, Gus, literally on wildcard for a little bit there. Dropped after some off-season results did not go well for them. And that actually caused a huge shuffle in OCE. And I'll tell you what, it's a second goal and a bit of a mistake coming out of the Power defense.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good little 50 right there, and then you saw the bump right in front of net, and all of a sudden, PPP, those petty pups, up 2-0 in the early stages. I think this is a team that, they've already got that top 6, probably shouldn't be overlooking them, and they're making a statement. Gus fakes the musty, escorts it in.
Well, at least he's showed up. He's got a point to prove to Formal right here as he gets a flip reset, fakes out with it, and managed to get a Dumbo flick at the very end in order to score the goal in the top 3.
Yeah, nice little goal. Good little bounce back right now. 3 goals in the first minute of play. Shaping up to be a very chaotic series as we see Gus to Lunar off the backboard. Bal doesn't have the boost to chase it up. Gus will slow it down still. Puts it on target. Easy read for Misty.
Lunar was a very consistent player for the Power roster last split. He was a surprise given, as you said, he managed to retire before that and then came out and had some of his best play. Consistent best play. We've had some surprise times where Luna would have a good performance, but he was so consistent and consistently good in that last split that he even made a fan of myself. So, see if that is an important part. Caleb and Gus, we know how good they are individually. And it's a third goal. I don't know why we're talking about. If they just miss simple defenses like this, Luna has missed that by a mile.
I want to show some credit over right now on the PPP side. Yeah, that was a little awkward at the end from Lunar, but at the moment, Misty is just playing everywhere. Bal is doing fantastically in setting up these goals right now. And I mean, again, this team, people have seen potential in them in the past, right? Misty obviously has a lot of success domestically before. Bal trialed for these rosters. Keckles has actually been kind of quietly strong, even going back into the offseason. This could be their statement series. I mean, and maybe put them as one of the 5 teams we need to be considering.
They managed to make it in the upper bracket for a reason. We know how good they can be. Now, I've also had a few moments today where a team would get in the lead and I'd think, oh, hang on. And then they were absolutely demolished. And Luna is going to try and do that same thing.
Yeah, a good little bounce back as well. And to go back to the point you were making before about Lunar and the consistency right before the awkward miss, if you go back to the regional win that this lineup had back regional 2, Lunar, I think, was the catalyst for that win. Like, Lunar was the one who was the rock on that team. Yeah, Laxton had some pop-off performances, but it was Lunar who we walked away with most impressed on, and we know Lunar has that dog in him, pun intended. It's just whether or not we're going to see that come out as Gus gets the equalizer.
Lovely from Gus, and the 3-1 lead has dissipated very quickly. Caleb with that back pass. This is what I liked about the Power roster previously. They've managed to continue it with some passing plays.
And I got to go back to the old Gremlins lineup with Gus, Caleb, and Cabo, and how strong Gus and Caleb, when they were on, when they worked together, it really felt like that roster could have been a roster of the future. But now they're getting another chance at it with Lunar. There's a lot of hype for this Power team. Again, internationally, I was seeing, I think it was like Shift, where they had like their experts predict 4 out of 6 of them said Power is going to be the team going to the major. Not TSM, not the Chiefs, but this Power lineup. And while it had some people confused, I mean, you said it yourself. They won a regional last split. You're bringing in Gus, who has the potential to be that next big player in OCE. I can kind of understand why people would make that argument.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty big on Gus in particular for quite a while, just because he came out as a more consistent player. And I talk about this a lot, but OCE, somewhat full of inconsistencies. Gus showed that he knew how to play the game, showed the consistency, but sometimes it just doesn't matter when Big Jez is on the field. Keckles goes up and somehow manages to find him in the corner.
What a crazy pass again. Keckles kind of leading the charge right now for maybe the most underrated player coming into this regional, at least with the performance we're seeing so far. Some of these setup touches and speed have been absolutely incredible. Obviously, Misty is going to be there to follow it up. You trust Misty to be able to do that. Late 1-goal lead, minute 20 to go. Power, what have they got? Well, it's a pass down to Gus, and we're tied.
Well, every time Prime Petty Pups gets in the lead, they've given it away once again. Luna infield pass. Didn't need much boost. No challenge. No one expecting that pass would occur. Maybe playing for the shot himself, but it's a tied game. Next goal might be the decider of game one.
I don't know, with the rate that they're scoring, it might be another 2 or 3. Defense has not been the theme in this opener right now. Gus will slow it down. It's Caleb with full boost behind, got pressured, so couldn't really follow it up. Misty saw that setup, so well done by PPP. Now Lunar looking for Gus, who's moving forward, but Caleb gets in the way. Now Gus goes for the dunk, but can't find it.
Straight up the guts, just a shot up center, and that is not the play you want if you're PPPs. That was a double dinger as well. Is there going to be a finisher right now? Caleb gets beaten to the ball. Prime Petty Pups somehow managed to stay alive in that one and breathe a little sigh of relief. They were almost certainly meant to get scored on.
That's the best defense we've seen so far in this opening game, and it came at a clutch moment. Now it's their turn on the attack, but the pinch goes well awry. That's going to open the door for Power. Caleb, first one to have a look, looks for a bump instead, gets a bit of pressure on the goal, but there was no follow-up. So last offensive attempt still is going to come from Power, still is going to come from Gus, down to Lunar, open shot, maybe, nope, goes in straight into Missy instead.
Center pass down to Caleb, just goes for the straight shot. Well, he was hoping to finish it, and he's going to! The demo comes out, and no one else thought to stay in defense.
Oh, Caleb. I mean, it was the demo that really threw things off for the Petty Pups, and really well done for Caleb right there to find the cut, find that pass. Power survive a chaotic game number 1. 5-4, crazy game. Really well done, though, at the end by Power.
I can't remember who ran off, I think, to get back boost there, but that was maybe too much trust in your teammates on a 0-second defensive situation with overtime ready for it. But either way, no matter how many goals Power were down, they never gave up. They were able to score 4 of them coming out from Gus. And, well, I made some jokes about them dropping Laxon earlier today, and it's starting to prove that maybe they made a solid decision. But obviously, it's only one game.
Yeah, only one game. Still a lot to be played. I'm still walking away more impressed with Prime Petty Pups offense, though, at the end of that. Defensively, both teams, a lot to be desired. But the passing plays and the setups from Keckles to both Misty and to Ball, really great stuff. However, I mean, both teams, I think, have a lot to improve on that defensive side. I think both of them were just really goal and attack hungry out the gate. And maybe with the win, we'll see Power start to settle a little bit more and get more consistent on that defensive half and put a bit more of a gap in the series. But one of these teams has to settle going into game 2. Otherwise, I just don't see a world where this series stays this chaotic throughout.
And I'm pretty impressed with Keckles as well. In fact, you know, he hasn't really spent a lot of time in the limelight. This is a big game here on stream where a lot of new players are incredibly nervous. When you're nervous, you tend to go directly at net. You're just attacking the goal. You're hoping to put shots on. And yet Keckles was still finding those pass opportunities, setting up some really nice goals, something that is very rare for the newer players.
Yeah, it really is. But again, if you've been watching sort of the bubble scene and a lot of the smaller tournaments that have been held, even going back to the end of last year, Keckles was starting to make a name for themselves as that type of role player. Similarly, same as Bal as well. And that's why we saw Bal get the trial. So the two of them have kind of risen from the bubble scene, teaming up with a veteran like Misty, who is still a playmaker. I think at the end of the day, people sometimes might forget that. This is a strong, I would have picked him as like one of the best of the rest. Bubble team lineups, and already in this first regional they're looking to go above maybe that moniker right now. Yes, they lost that first game. It's still a 1-goal game. They're still well within reach, so I'll be very curious to see what this team looks like in regional 5 and 6 as well, if they continue to grow and really become another big threat.
Now, Formal, I'm just hoping that you could enlighten us about why there is a delay and whose fault it is.
I didn't see who our tournament admin was for this game, but we went to the wrong map. The team, the production bus went to the wrong stadium.
Guru, come
It was Guru.
on, mate.
Yeah, it was Guru.
Just pick the right map, and then we don't have to wait an extra 2 minutes between. Give the give the folks at home what they want, and that is fantastic OCE Rocket League gameplay.
Well, there you go. There's some gameplay. We got there eventually. I wouldn't call it maybe the most fantastic goal, but it's definitely OCE as Lunar just goes straight into the net.
This Guru guy, as you guys said, come on. You got one job, change maps. Apparently.
It's the second time tonight. I will say that. That is the second time tonight with Guru as well. So that's 2 strikes, Guru. One more. You got one more.
One more and you have to join the casting desk. That's how we ended up getting here, by being mistakes. And speaking of, a lot of mistakes in the defense so far from both of these teams, but that is somewhat to be expected. Very offensive focused game. Not just this one, but the last one as well that came out from Wildcard, and we showed the success from them, and maybe they're driving a little bit of the meta of the region. Big Jez doesn't have the boost, but will be able to get the extra touch, maybe into center. Keckles around the corner, looks for the pass over to Big Jez, but doesn't find it.
Does find Lunar instead, who is going to go up, has Caleb and Gus underneath. It will be Caleb who goes for it, but Bal does a good job intercepting it away, and because Power was so far forward, it's nearly a goal back on the other side. Gus picks up the corner boost. Now, going to go for a solo play again as well. A lot more solo plays so far this game. Neither team kind of relying on the passes that we saw success from them. Granted, they haven't had the opportunity to yet.
And both teams trying to take the ball high as they look for the solo plays, maybe a less risky affair. Maybe that's their answer to not conceding 5 goals in a single game, to just take it high and force at least somebody to have to use all their boost to be able to challenge, slow the play down. Keckles, oh, great first touch. Will he get the 50? Caleb saw him coming for the dunk and manages to get it around him, but the attack isn't over just yet. Big Jez wanted that touch to go higher so he could follow it up. A mid-air collision between Bal and Caleb. Not going to open up the net just yet.
Yeah, as we do see a little bit of a pass across, leads to a pinch down the other way. Lunar will collect, but can't do too much more after that. Going to try to wrap this one back around. Second touch towards the goal. Not able to get the dunk on top of Keckles, who will come back the other way. Real back and forth. Bal with a chance. No, it goes awry. Or does it? Big Jez? Big Jez? No. Bal instead, and also no.
Also no. And also, I heard somebody typing in the middle of stream, and I don't know who that could have been, but that seems like maybe a more simple mistake than just choosing the wrong map.
I think that's another Guru production error in letting that one come through.
Oh,
Lunar's going to get a goal, making it 2-0.
Guru's got a mic that goes out to the stream. Yeah. Okay, well, Luna is ignoring all of this one. All of our insults from the last game of him not quite performing up to our standard. He set the last split, and he's already got the first 2 goals.
I try to show Guru some love, and everyone on Twitch chat comes on me. I have no idea how the guy is picking that up. The other shot from Caleb goes off the corner, not quite in. So we're going to miss from Lunar. Caleb now goes to the backboard, and Big Jez puts it down to Bal, so the pass is coming through. 2-0 lead, though, and it is looking like a much more neutered, unfortunately, orange side in this game. I mean, Power has just controlled this one.
Luna didn't have the boost, got smoked out, but I'm sure they'll be happy to hold on to the 2-goal lead. I think if Luna wants to save a bit of face here, he should go for the hat trick. Maybe an opportunity as Gus tries to set one up for him. Luna around the corner, passing opportunity, gets 50'd out all the way down to the other end.
Yeah, it's just, and again, back and forth. Both these teams giving so much space to each other. The second game just feels a lot slower as an end result. However, I'm still waiting to see a bit more come from the, Prime's Petty Pups. Only 4 shots on target, an average of a shot a minute. It's not going to be good enough, not in this game. And maybe Mystic can get something here. Instead, it falls down to Caleb. No boost, should be challenged, but a delayed challenge. Ball still pinches up the field. I'm just not seeing that aggressive edge.
And Bao got in the way of a potential goal of his own teammates that could have maybe brought them a little bit closer. They've only got 50 seconds now remaining to try and get the 2 goals. The defense from Power, not really well known for it, but it is much easier when you already have the 2-goal lead. Going to keep the pressure on and even keep the ball away from the PPP members. Gus straight into center, over to Luna. Just wants to take it high and safe.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a very safe game right now from realistically both sides. And I want to see a bit more again from PPP. Maybe they get something here. Keckles can't find the bump. Defense will hold on. 15 seconds, 2-goal lead. The Pups will be taking this game, I dare say, unless something crazy happens here. But with the free jump from Misty going well awry, that's going to do it for game 2.
It was a much closer affair, much more back and forth affair in game 1, and that may have been PPP's best chance to really take control of the series, because now Power have taken it in their grasp. The first 2 games going the way, the second one being a lot more convincing, and I'll tell you what, my boy Luna, I'm never going to criticize him again if he's going to perform like that. Takes the MVP.
Yeah, definitely a really strong performance right there from Luna on the Power side, and kind of going back to what we were hoping to see maybe at the end of the first game was the Power team calming things down a bit, and after they get that first win, settling, playing a more controlled game where you'd have to think they would have the advantage, and it turns out they do. Now, we are seeing a timeout though from Prime's Petty Pups, and normally I'm like super for a timeout down 2-0, but I don't know. I'm struggling to see how they are going to be able to adjust their style going into game 3.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure because we haven't really seen anything of this team.
True.
We don't know exactly what they can pull out, but Power have shown their resiliency throughout this series so far that they're never really uncomfortable when they're behind, and they are able to score some quick goals. So PPPs, they need to figure out how they can go back to that scoring style in game 1 without conceding so many goals.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's the balance, obviously, that every team strives for. I think I'm okay with giving up a couple of the goals, though, if you're able to give yourself the kind of chances that they had in game number 1. I actually liked that game 1 performance from them a lot, going up against a favorite, really sticking it to them. And you have to remember, too, a majority of game 1, they were the ones scoring first. It was just they weren't constantly responded against. So I say bring out some more of that gunslinger style, bring us back to the Wild West, and let's have another chaotic game if you're going for the Petty Pups.
They've certainly got that ability, especially Misty. We've seen him bring out some really quick plays in the offense and also some demo plays that, as you said, might be able to throw Power off guards. That being said, Power a brand new roster. Maybe you don't need to do too much. Maybe one demo here or there is all it requires to sort of break up their rotation. So we'll see as the timeout is over. Is the buff going to be good enough for this fresh roster who have found their way into the upper bracket? A reminder that if whoever does lose will be up or going off in that lower bracket and facing down the might of TSM. So a win here to get to that semi-finals in their best interest.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, neither of the teams in the lower bracket are teams you realistically want to be going up against, but TSM definitely has a bit more of a fear factor associated with that lineup. However, you know, the Westies, I still think have, you know, are a scary side. Doesn't matter though. Opposite side of the bracket, TSM. And then if you beat TSM, that's when you want to wind up against wild cards. So it's definitely not a bracket that you want to be a part of as Lunar gets the first goal.
Yeah, quick play. Caleb just reading that off the wall. Flipped immediately to get the extra touch. And Luna, consistent with his scoring prowess in the last 2.
Yeah, that he is coming out the gate swinging, and looks like they're going to be adding to it. Caleb, couldn't stay underneath the ball. Misty will disrupt it as Big Jez looks to continue to play off the backboard. Double commit, actually, from the orange side defense. Forces Ballard in an awkward spot. Keckles does make the save. Power just sort of swarming the play right now. They're a little bit out of sorts as well.
And Gus taking that to the back corner, maybe to just, you know, relax things a little bit, as you said, settle them back into that defensive moment. That's a huge 50 from Gus. Another ding off the post, and they probably would have thought that they should have got a goal there. Instead, it goes the other way. Keckles, I thought he was going to set up with the flip reset. Just wants to stay behind to try and maybe draw out a 50, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, and I mean, it almost turned that into the goal. I still can't believe Caleb missed that open net, but 10 seconds ago, ancient history. Another opportunity maybe for the Prime's Petty Pups as we see Big Jez throwing it back over to Keckles, who Opts to stay behind the play. Gets the 50 against Caleb. A lot of the setups that we saw Keckles able to find in game one, it's been a lot more of a struggle. Doesn't matter when Big Jez does that.
Big Jez, he's been performing so far, especially in game one. It's a really quick challenge. The fact that he was following it up is brilliant as well, with players moving around him. Ties it up and gives a good solid chance here for PPP off this timeout.
I love how they were able to recognize, too, that Lunar was coming around for the squishy and still kept it up high. Great positioning from the vet of the lineup, and now the vet's going to go again, putting it up to Bal, who wants to play off the backboard. Caleb's touch is always going to be a delicate one, but with no boost, not too much PPP can do. Oh, Misty missing the boost, goes back for it, but gives the possession in the process. Now here comes Lunar with a demo to help him. Can't put it on target.
He wasn't going to be able to make a challenge. He wasn't going to be able to keep up with that, with the opposition without that boost. So he did have to go back. It was a little unfortunate. It hasn't been costly so far in the defensive end. It's only cost them maybe an opportunity to score a goal. But here's the bump play coming out. Gus avoids it. It was quite smart as Jez slowed down his play just to be able to allow the demo to occur.
Yep, and I mean, keeping themselves in it, although Caleb with the real opportunity here just puts that one very off target. Doesn't matter when Lunar gets a 50 like that.
Well, this has happened a few times, just around the corner. Big Jez misses the first touch. Probably wanted an extra one there. Didn't get behind it and provided almost a pinch into his own net.
Yeah, that was a crazy challenge from Lunar. Super well done. And again, Lunar stepping up when power needs them, takes the lead. It's fun to joke and laugh, but Lunar still, again, time and time again, regional and regional again, on the main stage, continues to prove that they do belong among the elite players and teams.
Keckles turning that around the corner, maybe just trying to search for this extra goal, going for the bump, and man, Lunar that time, but Power have been so good at avoiding those bumps. You called for them, Formal, and they just haven't been able to get them because of how elusive Power have been. There's a bump going the other way, but the ball gets behind Lunar, so he wasn't able to do too much of a follow-up.
And still, though, it doesn't matter because Gus is there. And now, a little bit of a fake play gets Bal all out of sorts. 3-1 lead.
Yeah, don't think we expected too much there as the demo comes through. Bal had no boost in the tank and he just missed it. I'm not going to really call that a fake one. It's 3-1 now for Power, and they might be about to go to match point.
I think they are a very dominant performance. And, earlier in the day was kind of talking about Chiefs. They were looking good, yet to drop a game. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I'm pretty sure Power in the exact same spot. They went 3-0 through Swiss. They went, 3-0 yesterday as well. They have yet to drop a game, and they are continuing that same form. Power definitely looking like the powerhouse or another powerhouse in this region for sure.
So you're saying that they're the number one team in the region because they're the only team who hasn't dropped a game?
They're the number one team in Regional 4 right now.
Sounds good. We'll see how that manages to continue tomorrow. Looking like they're going to be making the semi-finals and have to face, winners actually coming through the lower bracket. But for now, still got that one extra game and maybe even the finish of this one if things do somehow manage to turn around. I'll tell you what, Formal, kind of been baited a little bit here by the PvPs. They gave me so much hope in the first couple of games.
Yeah, I same. I mean, that game one, the pass plays, the dynamic attacks, it was great to watch all three of them coming together, but it seems like after that, it's kind of, they've turned into Misty, the team, unfortunately, and we haven't seen that same impact from the other two just yet, which you kind of need against this power lineup.
Misty has still been doing some work. Keckles hasn't been able to find those kind of set up opportunities anymore, maybe just being a bit too direct as Gus sneaks it past the last. Do love that goal explosion though.
That was a very nice one. Also, just getting word in the Twitch chat, Power has not been perfect. They've been perfect since Switch stage, but before then they dropped a game to Sin, Fiasco, and Lucifer.
You know what? I would also drop a game to Sin, Fiasco, and Lucifer. So there's no harm done there from Power, but I guess nobody's perfect, and Power may not be on top after all, but they are on top of this series. 4-1, a 3-0 lead, one game away from maybe making us have 3 sweeps across the day as well.
Yeah,
3 sweeps in a game 7 would be crazy.
That would be a crazy one for sure. I'm kind of leaning on it though right now, especially with the way how Power is performing. My question marks on this team, admittedly, was going to be Lunar. Lunar looks to be on form. Gus looks fantastic on this lineup. Caleb hasn't had to have that big impact yet, but we've seen a couple cheeky little plays from them, enough to, keep Power ahead when needed. So all 3 players living up to sort of the potential where they could be at this stage, and where we've seen them rise, unfortunately. Misty has stayed consistent, but we need to see more of that impact from Keckles and Bao.
All right, well, we are just figuring out one thing, and that is whether the Guru can select the correct map. He's going through it right now, hasn't readied up, he's figured it out. We've got a Utopia Coliseum. Everyone, a little round of applause in chat for Guru managing to get the correct map, so we will be able to get underway. 3-0. We head to a game 4. Is it going to be a sweep, or is PPP's going to figure it out?
I mean, I think if they are going to bring back that aggressive style, we want to see it straight from the start. They did use their timeout buff last game, and even though they get the shot on, Gus, ready for it, has a big save.
It's already a great start, not just from Guru, but also from Power in the defensive half. They almost get an opportunity of their own. Right into center. Is there the follow-up? No, Luna's just going to take it slow, steal the boost away, and get demoed for his efforts.
Had a good attempt, but now we'll see which direction we go. A bit of a challenge in the middle of the field. Unfortunately for Missy, the ball gets away from them. Caleb's second touch almost goes in. Gus now tries to play the corner, gets Misty to bite. Has backup in Bao, but the ball still falls in a dangerous spot. Caleb up high, gets bumped away, but here comes Gus. Can't cross up the defense. Shot goes wide.
That's right, you guys cannot criticize Guru because he will also ban you in the chat, so make sure you're careful in that one. And Big Jazz turns this one around, potentially into center. 1 minute, no goal yet. We've seen early goals throughout this series, not this time.
Not just yet, at least, as we are going to see Caleb across looking for Gus, and Gus will find that next touch to the backboard as well. That sets up Lunar, but yeah, the follow-up's still not quite there. I also think you don't badmouth Guru too, because without Guru, you don't get teams like Prime's Petty Pups. I feel like some of the events Guru has run has led to the players in the bubble scene to come up and
Let's
get these
not give him
opportunities.
too much credit, mate.
All right.
He didn't create their entire careers.
Well, no, he didn't, but he helped get them on the map, and now when they're down, 3-0 in the series, we know who to thank. It's Guru's fault.
Listen, can't we just make fun of Guru for just a little bit this one time when he's made multiple mistakes? Come on! Let me have my moment!
Well, it's going to be Lunar's moment. Every time we start talking about Guru, it's Lunar who gets the goal. Granted, Caleb was there as well. 1-0 lead for Power.
Just continues, power to power, strength to strength. And that is once more Luna scoring. He's, as I said, after the first game, he's decided to really take it seriously. He's scored goals in every game after that one, including a couple immediately. Maybe getting another one right here. No, he's going to try and set up for Gus. Gets around it, hits the backboard. Bao comes steaming in from that back corner.
Bao actually coming all the way around too, tries to get the 50 in their favor, but again, Power just a little bit too clean. Backboard setup. Ooh, Gus a little bit further back right now, gets bumped from behind. Good play from Misty once more. However, not the fastest to the play. Power should be settled on their own back half, and they are. Luna's for such good. Second touch more open. Here comes Caleb, and no! They don't get the goal.
Yeah, he was trying to get the extra power from the change of direction, but that is straight towards where the defender was. After Luna put in all that effort, but they still got the pressure on. Gus going for the double, and he's found it! Over the top of Big Jez, who I thought nobody could get it past.
Oh my goodness, that angle for the double though. I mean, I can't be too critical on Big Jez for that one. Beautiful shot from Gus. Another reminder why he's such a lauded player despite maybe not finding the results just yet. This Power lineup though, this could be the team as they are well on their way to the semifinals.
Big Jez, man. He was little Jez in the net right there. He was facing backwards, covering only the left-hand side. You know, and that's a fair call against most attackers, but Gus, his angle's too good. His double's too good. His game has been too good in this series so far for the PPPs. Still trying to work at their best to try and get something on the board to get themselves back in the series, in the game. A minute 45, still nothing on the cards just yet.
Still nothing, but still hunting. Big Jez actually is going to connect with Keckles. Two defenders are there, though, and I love how they hold their boost. They just know the exact amount to make that save. Good job from the power defense as they come back the other way, around the corner. Keckles touch, popping it up, but then they get bumped off the play. Here's the shot. No, Jez with the save once again. Gus has another player right behind in Lunar, but they won't connect.
Faked out the flip reset and has created a bit of pressure here on the PPP's net. 1 minute 10 remaining. They need to be at the other end, and they're just getting an onslaught of shots coming at them from power. And they're trying to challenge anything. They're rushing. They're doing whatever they possibly can to get to the other end, and it's just every 50 is going against them. This is great play coming out from power, domineering here in Game 4.
It really, really is. And I mean, already, I think when you look at this lineup for Prime's Petty Pups, getting a top 6 would have been, you know, on their bucket list. Obviously, they're hunting for that top 4, top 2. But, I mean, it's been a performance to get to this upper bracket. They're not eliminated from the tournament yet. Still 30 seconds left in this one. However, Power continuing a near-perfect run. It does look like they're going to that semifinal. Put it away, Gus.
And you can hear the smile ear to ear from Guru, who now knows he doesn't have to try and select the map once again. It looks set in stone. Power going through the semi-finals. They pick up Gus, they drop Laxon, they cop a lot of flack and critique, and yet they've still managed to make a top 4, something that's outside their win they couldn't do in the other 2 events last split.
No, they couldn't, and this is a big start for a team that, you know, people are pegging legitimate major contenders. This is what they needed to do, so they'll stay in the hunt for the Petty Pups. Well, they're going to have to do it the hard way. A very tough match against TSM in their future.
A good little stamp on the competition coming out from Power. No, of course, it wasn't up against one of Formal's big 5 teams, but it was up against a team that took down those teams to get into this position. So, really strong showing. Power, as we said, have only dropped 1 game throughout the tournament in the top 64 round. And, well, that does mean that tomorrow they'll be versing the winner of Healthy Chiefs versus Fine in the West. So, it's not going to get any easier from here.
No, it's not. In fact, you could argue that's going to get very, very difficult for, I think, a lot of these teams right now, especially those in that lower bracket. I still cannot believe the run that I'm Fine in the West or the Healthy Chiefs might have to make to get to that final, but it's going to be crazy, I think. Looking at it right now, which bracket would you rather be a part of? Both of them seem so difficult.
Look, I think realistically, if you're in OCE, you're trying to make the grand final to make it into the top 2 to make it to the major. So I'd kind of personally want to be in that lower bracket to just avoid wildcard at all costs. I know that all these teams are starting to catch up with them. I know Chiefs win Game 7 today, but wildcards still just feel undefeatable, especially before the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be an interesting challenge for them. I mean, I'm still very curious about that Healthy Chiefs versus I'm Fine in the West matchup, just because if you have, you know, 5, maybe 6 contenders at the start of the split, you kind of lose a lot of them after the first regional by not making it to that top 4. So that matchup in particular is going to take my big 5 down to a big 4, and it's probably going to be the first match of the day.
It could easily, completely remove the chances for one team on both the major and maybe even Worlds at the exact same time. That's going to be a tough one. An interesting day for us. We had 3 sweeps, and we had a best of 7 or a game 7 that occurred after a broken rule 1. So had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be back, though, for this 4th regional, and tomorrow it's going to be explosive as well. Plus, the fun news that really brings people back, CJ's going to be back, Yummy. Yay! CJ's back.
He's back from his golf trip. He's ready to go. I don't know what he was doing today. He didn't tell me if he was going to play golf. I just assume that whenever CJ's away, he's playing golf because that's what he's always doing. So...
yeah, it's a safe assumption for sure. So that, though, will do us for here tonight. Do be sure to tune in again here. We're no longer on Fortress Productions. We are back at the Twitch channel where, you know, OCE Rocket League should be. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you again, same time. We'll see you there.